Being hired on as Jeff Keighley security intel for the Game Awards, it's a Slice of Gaming podcast. This is the episode for August 25th, 2023. Thank you for joining us. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Audible. So let's introduce our group of security that hopefully Jeff will hire us for. So whether you like it or not, you will be getting him once per quarter. It's Bench.
Hello, I'm glad to be back.
Delayed until 2024, it's Wolf.
Hell yeah, see you guys.
Already sold his streaming rights to Ubisoft, it's Fusion.
It's Armored Core Day, baby.
Not needing a mid-gen refresh, it's Dark.
How's it going, guys?
And also similar to Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild, it's BenjiBop.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley couldn't make it tonight, so he had to send me in, but I'm happy to be here.
He's still in Germany, right?
We'll get him next week.
Yeah, well, he wanted to, but something about GTA 6 came up, and he's busy.
I so wanted to make an intro about bugging Jeff Keighley about GTA 6 behind his back. I wanted to use that as an intro. I completely forgot about it until right now. God damn. Okay. So we got a somewhat substantial episode this week. We got the Gamescom wrap up, as well as a couple other little doodads here and there. So I guess we'll just be moving on over to the news because I don't think we have anything else to say regarding any updates regarding the show. So take it over, Wolf.
Yeah, maybe you want to tell us where they can find us.
I did. Didn't you hear my whole line?
Oh, did you?
I went over the whole list.
He took that 2024 delay seriously.
Yeah, he was not listening to you.
My bad.
All right, I think I stuck you with that line. All right.
Like the podcast.
Like the podcast. Just...
Yeah, as been said, we actually have a pretty substantial week for news. A lot of really interesting headlines that we can talk for a long time about. Hopefully we don't talk too long. First up is the Gamescom roundup. Jeff Keighley, my guy, hosted opening night live, and it was definitely a show. I'll ask right off the top, who watched it live?
I did.
I did.
Kind of.
I did. I somehow squeezed it in. Funny enough, I listened to it in my car while I was driving around making deliveries. That was interesting.
Nice.
I kind of listened to it. I'd watch a couple minutes, turn it off, go do something for 3 or 4 minutes, turn it back on. It was very off and on.
I've hit the point where I am just done with. I'll watch the Game Awards, and that's about the only Jeff Keighley related thing. And it's nothing like.
You're a hater.
No, it's not that I'm a hater. I appreciate what Jeff does. I'm over the mostly non-substantial things where there's 3 standouts. Cool, I'll watch those 3 standouts in 10 minutes rather than wasting 2 hours of my time at work. So
that is totally I definitely respect you for that because there's really no reason to have watched this show live. And even Jeff said to temper our expectations. This is mostly going to be an update show, which I respect him for.
Yeah, I wasn't originally planning on watching it, but it just kind of lined up that my manager's like, hey, Moon, you need to go make some deliveries for us for your job. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect time for me. So I just kind of popped it on my phone and listened to it during I took my time driving around my city making those deliveries so I could watch the whole thing. But yeah, I didn't mean to, but I just did. It just happened to work out.
Yeah, no, I just had it on in the background. I had it on in the background while I was cooking lunch. It was much barely paying attention.
They had more than I thought it would. I was actually more impressed. I had very low expectations as to not even knowing it was happening an hour before. And then,
yeah, I mean,
I didn't expect
for
it, but I thought it was good.
For an update show, it was fine enough as is. It's just there were, like Jeff said, there was no surprises, and I'll give him that he tempered expectations really well. And we'll actually get into our final ratings after we finish up the roundup and whatnot. But we don't want to go off one by one of each announcement. So I'm just gonna ask around the panel one highlight and one low light. Let's start with highlights. Bench, what was your highlight for the show?
Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is a game I've been looking forward to. Kind of learned about its existence about a year ago, and it's kind of been quiet until the last couple months, and now we know it's coming February 2024, which is unfortunate because it's the day before Persona 3 Reload. But I'll not play it day one, but it's definitely something I'll play next year because it looks like my kind of game. And my low light is obviously Sonic because Sonic sucks.
Okay, you didn't have to do the low light now.
Yeah, thanks for spoiling your low light already.
Yeah, the show's ruined. All right, let's restart.
He always
Fuck.
does it. He doesn't
Yes.
understand.
Actually, my highlight is Zack Snyder.
Okay, you know what? That's good. We'll get to
You
that.
can't just steal mine.
We'll get to that. For people who don't know, actually, Grand Blue is a gacha game. At least I think it was called Grand Blue Fantasy gacha game on mobile. And there's one thing about gacha players is that they are the greatest liars in the world. They lie so well about, oh man, this game, some of the best world building in fiction, some of the best characters in storytelling, emotional. And I'm like, you guys are liars. This is the test. We'll see. Like, this is going to be my test. It's like, all right, you Grand Blue fans, let's see if you're lying or not.
Counterpoint. Grand Blue's been a series, not just a gacha game. They have fighting games, they have other story games. This is just like the big Tales of Arise game.
I'm saying
done
like
yet.
the first game was a gacha game, but like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's mainly been like a fighting game series as of late.
Yeah, the Arc System work game, which I heard really good things about.
Even before then, long before, they've had like a whole series of fighting games. I've played a couple of them. They're okay. They're not like anything memorable. The characters, besides the characters, but besides that, it's alright.
Yeah, and I remember it was actually this game was actually scheduled for this year. It looks like it got kind of a minor delay, which honestly is for the best because I want December to look clear. I don't want it to come out in December. It's like that's my catch-up month to get ready for Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm right there with Bench. I'm actually really excited for this game. Moon, you're a big JRPG guy. Did this trailer do anything for you?
I didn't catch it during the. I think I was out actually doing my job when this part came on, and I haven't gotten around to watching the trailer. So
I recommend it.
I mean,
It looks
I never
good.
really got into Grand Blue. I remember playing a little bit of it back on the 360. It was like one of the fighting games my theater group would play during when we should be rehearsing. We were playing Xbox.
Oh yeah.
But that's like my most exposure to Grand Blue. So I mean, it's as long as it's not a gacha game and not a fighting game. I mean, I'll maybe check it out. But like you said, it's literally 2 days before Persona, unfortunately. So
One day actually. I think it's February 1st. And the Persona 3, as we find out later on, it was February 2nd. Dark, how about you?
Yeah, I'm incredibly hyped for it. It's giving me a lot of Tales of Arise vibes, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest like entry-level JRPGs you can hand to someone. Just of like how flashy it is and how simple the combat is. If they're following that formula, I don't really think they can go wrong unless they completely botch the story. But besides that, I'm looking forward to it. Not sure how I'm gonna manage it with Persona like on its ass, but you know.
That seems that Persona is literally a day later. So hopefully, I think it would be smart of them to just delay it like to the end of the month or something. But hey, who
Shut up.
knows?
There's nothing in January right now. Besides that second.
Well, no, they can move it. I'm saying move it up to the end of February.
wouldn't that be moving
If
back?
they-
The game's finished, they can push it up.
Wait. Did I say
Push
move
it
it
back.
up? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, just put it in January. January's empty right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but no one releases
wouldn't
in
really-
January.
Yeah, they
Tekken
can't.
is.
That's
Well,
Final
like
Fantasy
the
stuff.
last week of January. Like remember we had Legends Arceus like the last
Yeah,
week of
that's fair.
January. Last week of January seems to be
Early
like
January now.
the edge. Like
Yeah,
nothing ever
Fire
comes out
Emblem
early.
and Hitman 3 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it called? Dark. What was your highlight for the show?
It's Black Myth Wukong. I've been stalking this
Yes.
game ever since it was first announced.
Oh man, same.
I remember there was some issue with the devs. I don't remember, to be honest, but the gameplay itself
I think that turned out
looks
fake.
incredible.
That
Wait,
whole
what
thing with the dev. The whole thing with the dev, it was like some fake smear campaign from what I've read.
I
know
don't
for
remember
certain
what it
that
was.
was
It felt like
quote.
it felt odd to begin with. But besides that, we finally got to see some gameplay. It looked fantastic. I don't know what even the name of this team is, but if this is like their, I
It's
think
like
this is like their
game
first
science
project.
or something like that.
If this is their first project, this is one hell of a way to like come out the gates.
Yeah, I mean it's a Chinese developed game, and you're kind of seeing a lot more game studios emerge from China. I mean, like one of the biggest game studios is HoYoverse, and you know they came from China. It's an interesting scene that's sparking up there. And like, yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, I've been following this game ever since that initial reveal trailer. And the more I look at it, the more I'm like, yep, it looks like another Souls game. I love Souls games. Those are my favorite games to play. And this just looks like more of that. And also Chinese mythology, which is one of my favorite mythologies. Fusion.
Journey to the West, I believe. Oh my bad.
Yeah, no, you're right. Journey to the West.
Yeah, it's a
classic
fantastic
Chinese
story if you haven't read it. Yeah.
It's
So I'm glad to see more
fascinating.
adaptations of it.
Same. Fusion, I know you're interested in this one.
Yeah, but I kind of like Dark. I've been following this game for a few years. I might be in the minority here. I thought this was the worst trailer they've shown. Like the game already sold me, so like I didn't need this trailer to blow me away. But personally, watching this trailer, it didn't like give me any extra hype. Like I thought this was the worst showing the game has seen, which is surprising. But I could be wrong. That could just be a me thing. I wish they would have just came up with like more raw gameplay, because like we have raw gameplay out there, and I feel like this would have been the perfect time to give us more raw gameplay.
Yeah,
But
no, I think that's
I'm excited
fair.
for the game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, those last trailers were so incredible. Like, I totally get that. This one isn't really like. I feel like by this point, you'll know if you're in or not with this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Bob, are you interested in Black Myth Wukong? I'm not actually sure.
You know, it's one of those things. I'm kind of with Fusion, not necessarily to say that I think this is their worst showing. I've kind of tuned out of all of the trailers that weren't that initial one, but I think for me, this is weirdly starting to head in the territory. What was that Square Enix game that came
There's a
out?
lot.
No, was it Babylon's Fall?
Babylon's Fall. Yeah.
It
that was
kind of
Square
like, and I don't. We
Okay,
know nothing really about the game, and I don't want to make that like big of a comparison and be like, oh, this game's gonna be trash. But it like the whole like the flashiness of it all, and the fact that it is kind of still like Fusion said, it's not like it is kind of tailored footage. Kind of makes me feel like, okay, what are we actually doing in this game?
So they showed raw gameplay like a while back, and it pretty much just looked like a Souls game, very similar to Sekiro, if anything else. I don't know. I think it's. Here's the thing that this game isn't that Babylon's Fall was. This is not a live service game.
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
At least from what we know, they could say
Right.
like the month before release, "Hey guys, check out the Battle Pass."
I guess just
really.
It's not that, and I don't want to like hate on the game or anything, or give it an unfair opinion.
Totally
I'm still holding a little bit of skepticism.
No, skepticism is completely fine. About this is the studio's first game, so it's
right.
It's completely fair to say like, okay, maybe this won't be a 10 out of 10. Maybe this won't be. We'll see. Like, start.
It's still exciting though.
It's still. Oh yeah, I mean it's summer 2024. We still have like a whole year of like marketing cycle for this game.
Also, it's been like every year. Like it's been not delayed because they've never really had a date, but I feel like since like 2018, 2019, they've always said it's coming out the next year. Like it's always like 2020, 2021. Like I just want a date at this point because it's always like every time I see the game, the date that it's supposed to come out has been pushed back again.
Yeah.
This is the first time they ever gave it like a summer, saying like summer 2024.
I thought they said summer 2023 last year.
I could be wrong, but this feels like the first time they ever said a time
So
frame.
they said 2023, just like normal 2023, like last year, and then they just delayed it to like 2024, and I think just recently they said like summer 2024. Okay. So hopefully it stays there.
I mean, this is one of the many games coming out of China, and we also have games coming out of South Korea, and they all look very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, more emerging markets for game development. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Fusion, what about you? What's your highlight?
I think I was gonna go with the easy one and say Alan Wake 2, but like they didn't show me too much. So I think my highlight was actually Crimson Desert. I don't like that trailer. I don't know if anyone else has seen it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that trailer was like
it
had like 100 different games in one. It looked really good. And once you figure out it's not an MMO and it's a single player like RPG experience, I just think like if they can hit on all those features, it's one of those games where it's like I don't believe half of the stuff they're showing me, but if they can nail it, whatever they're showing me, it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, funnily enough, it's funny you mentioned the MMO part. Like a little story, as I said, I was cooking while like doing this, And then like that trailer came on, and I thought he said Black Desert, which is the actual MMO from China, if I remember correctly. And I was like,
South
oh,
Korea.
MMO. Yeah. Oh, South Korea. Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
But
Pearl
like
Abyss.
that Black Desert, and I was like, oh, okay, I can ignore this. But then you were actually hyping up the trailer for Crimson Desert, so I went back and watched it. And I'm 100% with you. Like, I don't know what it gave me a lot of Witcher 3 vibes, like along with like the horse, the buying stuff. Like, I don't know, something about it just like reminds me a lot of like classic Western RPGs, like that open world Western RPG vibe that I'm a big fan of. Again, is this the studio's first game?
No,
Do
this
you know?
is
No,
the same studios that make Black Desert.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
was
why you
gonna
heard it. It's Pearl Abyss.
Why would they both call it Desert? Do they not realize
They
their
got a
franchise
brand.
that is?
Yeah, it's their franchise.
Yeah.
I hate this shit. I hate it so much.
Why do you
So
think all of our shows are called a
Desert
slicing
Online,
game?
Yeah, Black Desert
I'm sorry.
Online is their big like MMO from Pearl Abyss from South Korea,
was-
and now this is like their single player big RPG, which I don't know if it shares a
That's
universe,
exciting, though.
but
I mean, I hear a lot of good things about Black Desert. So, like, if you're telling me, like, okay, we're gonna make it not an MMO, that's exciting.
I have not heard. Now, granted, it's been a while since I've heard these things, but from people that have played Black Desert, it is very microtransaction hungry and kind of
yeah.
like they
Well, it's
they
free to
kind of
play.
get a little scummy with it, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. So I'm hoping that this really is its own. Like again, with a little bit of skepticism, I really do
Of
hope
course.
that I think Fusion said it best when it's like, if they actually, I don't believe them to be able to do all these things, but if they do hit them, it's like, holy crap, like this is awesome.
I feel
The
like
game compared to MMO. So
What was
I
that?
don't know. It's a very different. But I played Black Desert, and just looking at the fact that a single player RPG is completely different from an MMO, where like it's very easy to force microtransactions down your throat, unless you pull
Yeah.
like an Assassin's Creed. What was the one?
time
with Spartan?
savers.
honestly,
Yeah, let's like pull
Oh.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where they like force you to get microtransactions to beat the game. That was a thing. The game should be fine. It's taken. I want to say this is like the first big game to take direct influence from Tears of the Kingdom that we've seen come out so far.
Does it?
I mean, they have the Sky Island.
Ultra Hand, it had going to the sky, and it had a scene that replicates the depths. You cannot watch that trailer and tell me otherwise.
But
Yes,
could they
Tears of the
really
Kingdom
develop all of the?
invented caves.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I-
that
well,
it invented this, but it took direct influence. But the way that they handled it is like nearly 1-to-1 from how Tears of the Kingdom.
I don't know
Tears of
if
the Kingdom-
they've had
Tears of the
time to
Kingdom
do
came
that
out
though.
3 months ago.
Yeah, it hasn't
Yeah.
had enough time.
Yeah, but they showed the
I
features
believe
from
you
it
if this is-
before. Like Ultra Hand had been shown for a hot minute.
Did they
now.
show up? They didn't show depths though.
Like, they didn't
Also,
show the
Ultra
depths,
Hand
though.
was like, Ultra Hand was revealed earlier this year.
Yeah, Ultra Hand was like
We
really
knew
the
there was
last
building. We didn't know there was specifically.
I
Ultra
promise
Hand.
you, Ultra Hand was revealed.
Now
and
the
they
Sky
looked at that
Islands
whole
I'll give you,
presentation.
but
Yeah, maybe like they saw the Sky Island trailer, like they revealed Sky Islands like 5 times before Tears of the Kingdom came out. They barely were even part of the game.
and
So
they
that was, like,
showed that you
small
could build
part of the
stuff.
game.
It just wasn't like specifically Ultra Hand. I don't think at that point.
No, it wasn't.
yeah, like
I don't want to say not building stuff, but like the fact that you have like this black. I don't know what it was inside the game. I'm
Sure.
just going off of the trailer. It's like this black hand that you can pick stuff up and move stuff around. Stuff very similar to Ultra Hand.
maybe
I don't know.
Zelda
That's the
ripped
first
them
thing that came
off.
to mind.
Wait a second.
True. Think about it.
Hang on.
They took
Might
a
have
boat
a-
over
a
to
very-
South Korea. Like, what's going on over here?
It was called.
That's why they had to delay it.
I love the idea. It's like it has to be a boat, like a rowboat that they're taking all the way to South Korea instead of, I don't know, a plane.
Only 2 paddles.
2 paddles.
What's crazy is that they granted, I'm pretty sure it's incorrect, but it's still technically slated for 2023. This Crimson Desert game.
Is it?
I mean, what the-
Granted, they didn't give an update. They didn't give a release date on this certain trailer that came out of opening night live, but on all the like apps and everything that has the game listed, it has it listed as 2023 instead of
That's
like
crazy.
a to be announced. So at some point, it was
It's-
listed as a
it's-
2023 game. This thing's getting super delayed.
Yeah, for sure. What's it called? Moon. What's your highlight?
I'll have to go back with Crimson Desert. That was the thing that caught me most
Oh,
by
yeah.
surprise. It just feels like one of those games, kind of like the original trailer for Black Myth Wukong, where like this doesn't feel like a real game. This feels like a concept footage, and it's like we're never gonna see the real game. But now Black Myth Wukong apparently is real. This is apparently real. But the trailer itself is actually kind of humorous when you look at it from almost a marketing standpoint, because half the trailer is just showing off features like you can pick up animals, you can go fishing, you can pole vault
Those are
over
the
walls.
best
It's like
That's how you
he's
do
like,
a
let's just
trailer,
show
in my
all these little features that we can do. I still laugh at the man drifted on a horse. Like he made
my
an
God,
immediate
yeah.
turn. It was the
That was
funniest
so
thing.
cool.
But yeah, I would have to go if I don't have to repeat Crimson Desert. That Zoneless Zero something project.
Zenless Zone Zero, the Mahoya.
Yeah, something like that. It looked that looked kind of
That's such a
interesting,
awful name.
but it looks like another gotcha game. So I'll at least check it out. I'm not really into
Yeah, that
gotcha,
one-
but I can at least check it out.
Yeah, that one looked actually pretty cool. It's more action focused. We'll see
Yeah.
how good it is action wise.
And how
But,
gotcha
yeah, I'm
it is.
interested in it. We'll see. I mean, it's gonna be gotcha. That's all you know. Bob, what about you? What's your highlight?
Oh man, boys, put on your trucker hats because Expedition's a Mud Runner game, dude.
I
Are
remember
you
hearing you talk about that in
serious?
chat.
Oh my!
You're gonna have to
This
explain
is
this to me.
so. This game and Crimson Desert were the two where I heard about it in a recap. I was like, oh, hold on, I gotta go check out these trailers. I missed Mud Runner because Mud Runner has a. If you want a fun rabbit hole to dive down the Mud Runner rabbit hole, because there is some weird stuff between like the original devs of the game and like Saber Interactive, and there was this whole lawsuit. It's interesting stuff. But I got in on SnowRunner mostly to the persuasion of one Jeff Grubb. But I love these kind of like blue collar like vehicles that you're just like exploring and everything. It's like it's very much either a podcast game, a wind down game, like a tune out and just like disassociate from everything game, where it's just you and a car and you're doing like some very mundane task. And for me, that just like really scratches an itch that I love. And the thing about SnowRunner and Mud Runner is that you're doing like these tasks, right? So you're like hauling stuff, you're making deliveries, and a lot of the times those can be a pain in the ass because there's actually like puzzles built into the game. Be like, well, you can't just drive up this hill. You either got to get a different truck, get a different trailer, figure out a way around it. If you flip or crash, you got to like go get a different truck to bail yourself out. Whereas in this game, it seems like it's more just exploration and not as much, the kind of like blue collar
Towing
task. So
yourself out.
yeah, so it almost seems more like Death Stranding, which granted I haven't played Death Stranding yet. I really need to, based on the way
Buddy,
I talk about
get
these
to it.
games.
Get
It's
to
so
it,
good.
man.
Yeah, you
Good
would love it.
Masterpiece.
But it's like so it seems a little bit less intensive in one way that Mud Runner was, but it seems like if you're not hauling stuff, that means you can maybe scale more things or use more tools. And like I know there was like a drone and a metal detector and all of these different things, and like I think there was like a hovercraft at some point that you could like float on the water, and it just like get wacky with it, get weird with it. So I'm all about Expeditions. I think that's awesome.
Don't sell me on this game. This actually sounds cool.
No, here's the thing. No.
Go check out SnowRunner.
Play
Yeah.
if you were interested. Play SnowRunner. I think it's still on Game Pass.
It's on
Go
Game Pass, yeah.
Go
Oh, it's
play
on Game
that if you have any interest in it. And it's
bad.
it's not going to be like these missions take forever. Like this is a game that takes if you actually want to try and beat it, it's going to take you a lifetime. So you're better off just like not getting too attached and like maybe trying things here and there, because it's very intensive in that regard.
It reminds me of this old truck simulator I used to play at my like uncle's house, and like I remember pulling into a gas station for the first time because it's like you need gas, and I pulled in and I started getting gas. I'm like, holy shit, gaming is insane! Like that was like a mind-blowing moment for me.
And so Bob's not kidding. Like if you look on how long to beat SnowRunner, the main story 93 hours.
Yeah,
What's
there's your
the
Persona
story?
5 equivalent of blue
What's the
collar.
Wait, what's the story? Like
It's just
do
like
you have to
basically
save your
missions.
child?
yeah, no, it's there is no story. It's literally just like a list of like build this power plant. The dam's broken. We need materials. Bring like the lumber yard needs lumber. I don't know, stuff like that. It's just a bunch of different odd jobs, and there's like 5 different worlds, at least in SnowRunner. And you get upgrades. It's like its own skill tree with all the different trucks and trailers and everything. It's really in depth.
It's a
impressive.
truck simulator with a skill tree.
It's honestly impressive, but yeah, I'm definitely. It's gonna be one of those games where like when I get mad at like a multiplayer game like Overwatch or Halo or something, I just go chill out and kind of cool down.
I mean, I might check it out, honestly.
Yeah, I only played like maybe a couple hours of SnowRunner, and I don't know, something about just like hitching a tow to your other car and you got to dig it out of the mud or the snow was just like super satisfying. There's that little mechanic of theirs where you're pulling yourself out either on a nearby tree or you went and got another car to pull yourself out. It was something about that was just super satisfying.
Yeah, and it's like you don't just hit the gas pedal. You got to put it in like specific gears or like all-wheel drive or low gear, high gear. Like it's not just like there are systems to it. It's not, you can't just turn your brain off. You really do have to focus for a little bit and like think about some things. But still a great game to just disassociate after a tough work week.
Talking about this game, I'm scared if you play Death Stranding, like you will just have a spiritual awakening. It really just sounds like it would be your favorite game of all time.
I might,
because it's like, dude, what?
Every time I talk about these kind of games, people are like, "Oh, so you played Death Stranding, right?" I'm like, "No, I probably should."
I
have the director's cut for Steam, so it's like it is there. I haven't had the time.
I waited so long to play that game as a Kojima fanboy, and I
It's so good.
waiting so long. It is insanely good.
I was genuinely listening to the soundtrack earlier today of Death Stranding.
Same.
That game has
So
music.
good.
Yeah, and the music.
Oh, yeah,
it's one of the best soundtracks of all time, in my
It's
opinion.
such a spiritual experience.
Maybe
It's so
we'll get to it, but the MGS collection, because I do need to play the Metal Gear games. That'll be
Same.
like
We'll talk
a
about
good. That'll be a good segue to be like, all right, let's just go through all the Kojima games.
Greatest games of all time.
I need to play Metal Gear as well.
Yeah, you guys really do. Those are the greatest games of all time.
Does Konami have a game for you?
Konami never has a game for me. Moving on. Or not moving on, but my highlight. Sorry. My highlight is the Tekken 8 stuff. We got a release date, January 26th. So that is literally the perfect day for me. Like I just get like a month of Tekken basically. I am a huge Tekken fan. It is easily my second favorite fighting game franchise, right behind Smash Brothers. And before everyone starts saying Smash is a fighting game, let's calm down. But I love Tekken, love 3D fighters, and they showed off the roster, 32 characters. That is a pretty insane roster for a fighting game at launch. And every character they've shown off has been so exciting. I mean, Kuma's back. That's all that matters, really. My main isn't back from Tekken 7, so I think I have to pick up a new character, which sucks. They haven't revealed all the characters, but Katarina from Tekken 7, all Tekken fans know. It's like, damn, that I know for a fact she's probably not coming back, but it doesn't sting any less. But I guess just in general, though, I'm a huge Tekken fan, and I think this is definitely going to be it's going to be a good game. I will say the story stuff that they showed, that got me excited because I'm like, oh, this looks terrible. Because you don't go into Tekken stories like expecting like a literary masterpiece or like even as like Mortal Kombat stories. You go into them expecting like schlocky, tropey, terrible stories, and that's what I fucking love. And I am so excited for Tekken 8. I just want more Tekken, man. Like Tekken 7, I've been grinding that out the last few weeks, just screwing around in it. It's like Tekken just hits different for me. But I think I'm the only Tekken fan here, so I guess I'll just move on. Moving on. Oh, sorry, Fusion, you wanted to say something?
I was gonna say, sell me on like Tekken is like the fighting game to play. As someone who like doesn't play fighting games, what makes Tekken better than Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat?
I'll tell you right now, I think Tekken is actually easier to play than Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. I think it is the second easiest fighting game behind Smash Brothers. It is one of those games where, because it's just like,
it's an arena fighter.
It's like,
it's
an arena fighter, and I feel like I show my friends Tekken.
this?
I give them a controller. sorry, just real quick. It's like I show my friends Tekken, and they literally pick it up and they kick my ass. Maybe that says more about my skill level, but it feels like a game you could literally just pick up and immediately have fun with. And like I said, the story is very schlocky and dumb, but like it is a fun story mode to run through. I think it's worth picking up on sale, Fusion. I don't know if like I would buy it day one. I would say wait for a sale or something. I think it is easily the fighting game franchise to get into if you're not already into like Smash.
Okay.
So you
But
mentioned.
now I want to talk about the low
Mortal
light.
Kombat.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my bad.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
No,
I'm sorry,
you
go ahead.
mentioned Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and those games are 2D games, so like it's just left, right. That's all there is to it. Same thing with Dragon Ball Z Fighters. Tekken is like there's an arena and there's 3D environments, so like you can move left and you miss all your attacks because you're in like a different direction. If that makes sense, I don't really know like the best way to explain this properly.
It's easier to like
Very similar to Soul Calibur. Yeah.
I
There's a lot
feel
more
like I don't
movement
get like forced into a corner. Kind of what stops me from like enjoying a lot of fighting games is if the person is better than you, they'll just like throw you in a corner and treat you like crap for the entire fight. It's like I am not having fun. But Tekken, it is pretty easy to get away. It's a lot less combo based, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's worth it. It's a fun franchise. Tekken 7 is always like $10. So like if you really want to, you could jump it on there.
I'll look into it. Tekken never been like. I always thought the opposite. I always thought like Tekken was like the super hardcore fighting fans.
No.
Like that's because
If you want to get competitive, yes.
Okay.
If you want to get super competitive, but if you want to play casually, it's easy. It's the easiest one in my opinion, along with Smash. Now I want to talk about lowlights, and let me tell you, there's one in particular. I'm gonna start. Zack fucking Snyder. What is he doing here? He showed a movie trailer at a video game show, talked bullshit with Jeff for like 10 minutes on stage, talking about the least interesting crap in the world for his probably another blockbuster fucking disaster. Man, every movie this motherfucker touches is absolute fucking garbage. He is a talentless dumbass, and I don't know why he still keeps getting fucking movies. And I get it, money, his movies make money. I don't know why you would ever want to fucking willingly watch a Zack Snyder movie. I don't know why everyone was like, oh man, the Snyder Justice League, the supercut. Oh my god, 4 hours, that's gonna be amazing. Guess what? It sucked too. The guy can't make a movie for the life of him. Stop giving him fucking movies. Stop bolstering his dumbass ego. I'm so sick of this asshole. Why the fuck is he at Gamescom? But yeah, that's my opinion on Zack Snyder.
So this is when we announced Slice of Cinema podcast.
Sorry, that is the one thing I'm super passionate about is how much I hate Zack Snyder.
Let it be known that more information came out after the show that Zack Snyder is eyeing the Gears of War movie that's been that Netflix has the rights to, and he's eyeing.
Ignore it.
He's interested in Halo.
God,
he's
Lord.
looking to invade.
Give up Halo.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it'd probably be better than the TV show.
Yeah, I was about to say.
They
I
set
forgot
such
that
a
was the
low
thing.
bar.
I forgot that was a thing.
Man, am I the only one that has like irrational hatred for Zack Snyder? Because I feel like it's a little much at points.
Yeah.
I
think
understand
you
you.
wake up thinking about them for sure.
I understand you, but my hatred's with Emlon, and you know how I feel about this thing.
Yeah,
It's the same type of
Shyamalan.
hate. Bro, he should be in jail. Swear to God.
All right, well that's enough movie talk. Bench, what was your low light?
It was Sonic Superstars because
Okay, funny guy.
well, I don't know. It just doesn't. It looks kind of like generic, like it's just made in Unity by like a group of like high school kids to make a fun Sonic game. It does nothing impressive. It doesn't look impressive. Like nothing.
Nice.
Like I don't know. Like sometimes people do that. It just doesn't look good.
Do Sonic haters get paid? Like I
Yes, they do.
want to know passionate about this.
This is how he
Also-
affords all his games.
Also, why the fuck is it coming out before like a couple days before Mario Wonder? I don't know how.
Oh,
they
yeah,
think
no,
they
that's a
can compete
horrible
with
release.
it.
Because Sonic in general is just a bunch of masochists.
I mean, Sonic fans are gonna buy.
I
it
guess
no
you're
matter
right.
what. That's the one.
But
thing,
Mario is better.
yes, Mario is better, but still, like, come on, Sonic. I mean, it looks fine. Like, I
does
don't know
not look
about you.
good.
It'll be
It
good
looks
if you have like a
generic.
group of people to play with.
Generic, dude. For Sonic, I'm ready for it. I will say I would have preferred a Mania art style, but like this looks fine enough. It should have released in November. Like November is free, guys. Like they could have released it the day of Call of Duty, and like everyone would have been like, okay, sure.
They could have like released it when Alan Wake 2 is coming out.
I don't know. I don't
like,
think they
done any
could
changes
actually.
to it.
Nah, they
I
could.
think
Sonic fans. Are
there's
gonna
no. But 2D Mario and Sonic have like the audience covers. Alan Wake and
That's
Sonic
the
not
thing.
so much.
Exactly.
Is there
Like,
though? Like I don't think there's a single human who's picking Sonic over Mario anyway. So like,
yeah, no, that's
I'm
what
sure
we're
there's
saying.
someone out there.
No, they're
There
definitely
are
gonna
some
pick
people
Sonic
who
over
don't.
Mario.
I'll
There's
do it
some
just
people who
because.
don't.
I'll do it just
There's
because I
some-
don't give two shits.
well, one of your
There's some
favorite video
people
games
who
of all
do.
time is Sonic.
Yeah,
Bad taste.
Sonic fans, baby, let's go.
in the trenches.
No, they, if you
Listen,
pick
okay,
Mario, what? If you pick Sonic over Mario Wonder, you don't have taste.
oh, dude, I know a lot of people that gotta do that. I mean, no, I do. I mean, obviously Mario Wonder looks like the better game, but like I don't know. I mean, I will say that's $60. I don't know who they're trying to catch there. That is
you'll be
weird
the one
price
that
point.
pays it.
I'm not paying $60 for Sonic Superstars. I'll wait for Black Friday. Dark, what about you? What's your low light?
Mine might be a little bit weird and different from the others, but this generally did bother me. Just security. I want to touch about on this for a little bit.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about that. Yep.
This is. I know like people are memeing about it, and like the first time it happened, like everybody had a good time. This is actually becoming like a serious situation in my opinion. The fact that A, it happened again, right? And then B, it took so long for security to come up and actually like pull the
where
two guys
were
away. It wasn't
they?
one guy, it was two guys. It took like, you be making this a risk, but it's Jeff for everything he does, right? I know people they like Jeff. I'm kind of indifferent to him. He loves having people up on stage. And if you're gonna keep having this happen, you're just waiting for a disaster to happen, and that's the last thing I want in this industry. Especially with people you have like you have big name people. You had Todd, you had Phil, you had all these high name people rolling up.
Ed Boon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Ed Boon was on.
This is just
like look at
a disaster waiting to happen.
if you watch the clip.
About it.
If you watch the clip back, Todd honestly looked very uncomfortable on that stage. Like he looked like kind of awkward after that whole situation. Almost like, what, are they going to come
trying
up
to touch him? That's why he was kind of like he was trying to touch him to get hold of the mic, but he kind of like turned his shoulder to the side. If you guys watch the clip, it makes more sense what I'm explaining right now. But I don't know, for some reason, yeah,
no, I'm talking about Todd. Todd looked uncomfortable. Yeah.
I mean, probably based off of what happened, probably. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's just ridiculous how this happens twice. Like the first time, like here's the thing.
First time,
Todd,
I get it. The first time,
but Todd was like sitting in the back, like patiently waiting for the speech to finish. Like these fucking bozos, like, oh, GTA 6, GTA. Shut up! You're not fucking cool. The other guy trying to like show off his social media and shit. Nobody gave a shit. Like it is so funny how everyone just made fun of these clowns.
It's also just pathetic. I mean, it really is
that's
like
another thing entirely.
Yeah, I never like the memes from the Bill Clinton kid were funny, but like that guy is also a professional grifter. Like he's actually like a pretty just like he's like what was it like a YouTuber who does like crowd like pranks or like pranks in public. It's just like the lowest kind of form of entertainment value and just like not funny or interesting and like the fact that I think like if Jeff really wants these awards shows to be taken or not award shows but like his shows in general, if he wants them to be taken seriously and he gets like you guys said, like high profile people, you get people from the movie industry, how do you not have security like that is, and I get it, it can't be like a concert where they're just lined up on the front of the stage, but it's just it really does bother me that he tries to take this so seriously and yet he had a very serious incident. Someone crashed the game of the year like presentation and it just doesn't seem like anything really changed after that, and that's worrisome.
Yeah, like if it happens again at the Game Awards again this year, then there's a serious part. Like fool me once, fool me twice kind of situation. Like you think, okay, it was a one-time thing, it was just one dumb kid, and that's like, no, now we got people making this like going after the memes, going after the clout of doing it. Like there's gonna be another. Like this is now gonna influence some other asshole out there to do it at the next Game Awards. So yeah, Jeff's got to do something. And I've already seen online like people how the theater that he's hosting the Game Awards at, like you can easily do this. You can easily set up not a barricade, but like where the VIP people go, the industry people go, and where the common people go, the general public. And there's a distinct cutoff between them, so you can avoid when all the special guests leave their seat to come up on stage, that they're going to be safe because it's a completely walled off section of the theater. So it's definitely possible. Jeff just needs to do it. Jeff and his team needs to get it done.
Jeff has more than enough money; he can easily get it done. Like I don't know why it's so difficult to not just like have a sectioned off. Like why does the audience need to be in
now?
the front
Definitely
row?
now, granted, I haven't seen like the full layout of the area where they held opening night live, but from what I saw a little bit from watching the show, it definitely seemed like an arena kind of place where there wasn't really walled off sections, like kind of like an amphitheater. So I think it might have been harder at this show to do something like that, but it could easily be done at the theater that he's hosting the Game Awards at, though.
My one thing is just Jeff has to do this, but also how much of this is on the arena's security? Because is Jeff really the guy that's in charge of the security? I assume that would be like when you think of arenas and stuff, they all have their own security, they all have their own protocols that like. So at some point, it's also the arena's fault for like allowing these people in for one, and for two, not having the security protocols in place for the people like Jeff. Like Jeff should be thinking about security, but he should not have to go into his shows thinking of that, because the security that is in place at these arenas should already have that locked down.
Agreed.
It's kind of a gray area, because it's like they do have metal detectors for these shows, and they do go through like no one can really bring a weapon in, or at least like unless they do something really out of the blue. But it like if he really wanted to, he would have security in like the front row, or
I was about to say,
like there are things he can do in that situation where it does kind of come down on him, because I know he wants a very he wants fans to be close to the action. He wants to have them seamlessly integrated. Like he wants to, and like I get it. He wants to see the best in people and be like, look at this experience. You get to be so close to your favorite people in the industry. And unfortunately, it only takes a few bad apples to ruin it.
Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. Like there's gonna be a couple of assholes that ruin everything for everyone, and like it sucks. But like I just hope Jeff takes the right lessons from this situation, because like the first time, again, it was a funny meme. But it was clear he was upset about it at Game Awards. And the fact that it happened twice, that's just ridiculous.
Listen, it's not like I just kind of fucked up pinning everything on Jeff. I'm sure he tries the best he can. But at the end of the day, if something were to happen, everybody's going to look at you. It's really a security's fault. They took like fucking 30 seconds to get up there. They should have been up there immediately. And even if you don't have a weapon, you can still hurt someone really badly if you know what you're doing. So it's a really weird situation.
Of course. Okay, well, moving on. Fusion, what was your low light?
Really, my low light was Little Nightmares 3 showing up, because like anything Supermassive does just sucks. So like, no, I'm kidding.
The switching of developers is definitely like cause for concern. Like, what happened to the last guys?
No, I'm just I really didn't have a low light, because like the entire show kind of just felt like what I expected. Like there was no game that really. I mean, maybe I guess you could say Wukong a little bit. I just thought it was its worst showing, so maybe that was like a low light for me, because I watched that trailer and I didn't like feel any extra. But like overall, it just felt like the normal. Like I went in with my expectations, and it was lower than my expectations somehow. So like I really don't have like one game out there, honestly. Sorry for Supermassive fans if people actually like them.
You weren't irrationally angry when Zack Snyder was on stage like I was?
No, I usually just like ignore him. And he was like, I understand your movie talk, but he's making a video game too. So like, it would be different if he
talked about it for like 2 seconds and it showed a giant trailer for the movie.
I agree. And that trailer was the longest trailer of all time. It was like a 4-minute movie trailer. Maybe that was mine. Maybe you're onto something because that was like I'm like, why am I watching this? It was very long.
Man, yeah. Like I said, irrational. It's very much irrational hatred. Mood, what was your low light?
Yeah, so I'll have to go with the Zack Snyder thing, but for a different reason than what you said. And Fusion kind of went in on it, saying, "Yeah, okay, fine, Zack Snyder, show your movie trailer, but this is a game thing, and I know you're saying you're announcing also a Rebel Moon game. It's like, okay, now show us that." And they showed pretty much nothing of that. So it's like I would have accepted the movie trailer more if we also got the game trailer, because at least then it's a game trailer. It may not be a game I'm interested in, but at least it's a game trailer. But yeah, it's just the fact that it was mostly super long movie trailer, and then we got diddly of the game trailer. Just like why? So yeah, that'll be my lone light.
Okay, that makes sense. And then Bob, we'll end it with you. What's your low light?
Yeah, I mean, kind of already mentioned it, but my low light's just these shows in general. I respect what Keely's doing, and like you guys are complaining about the movie, but it's like I'm sure that the studio that Snyder works for, like probably paid Jeff like a decent amount of money to do a
Very
big
much so.
ad spot for it, and it's like it's still entertainment, and it's cross pollination because he has his game, which. By the way, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but from what I thought I heard, it's a mobile game, or at least the studio making it is a mobile studio because it's related to Netflix. And like the only like real game that one of the Netflix studios has put out is Oxenfree 2, which even that is still kind of like less intensive of a game. So I'm not exactly expecting much from that. But yeah, I'm
worse
just
than I thought.
Yeah, I'm just not like I respect what Jeff does, but I think my breaking point really with these showcase with his like specifically, I remember watching opening night live last year, and it was like Fort Solace and Callisto Protocol and another space horror, maybe it was Dead Space. It was like back to back to back, and I'm like
all the space horror.
Oh yeah, I'm so out on this. This is just which, by the way, did anyone notice Fort Solace like dropped reviews like day of the Game Awards show, and it's like
those
bombing.
reviews were not high.
Yeah.
I think it's still sitting at like a 61 or something.
Yeah, as all the actors are sitting up there talking about the game, and like the reviews come out, and it's at like a 61%. They're like hyping
It's like,
it
man,
up
it's kind of hard to take y'all seriously right now.
The actors are there to distract you from the reviews. They want you to go buy it because the actors are talking about it.
Yeah.
I guess moving on. I do want to also point out one more thing that we haven't talked about. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty got a really big showcase. Oh man, okay. Yeah, it did. It looked like what it should have been at launch. I'll say that much. I'm obviously extremely biased against this game. I hate it with every fiber of my being. So like, I'm not gonna check it out. But Fusion and Benchy both sounded really excited for it.
I mean, I'm not gonna check it out probably this year, but it's definitely risen up the backlog list to be pretty high now once that DLC drops. It looks pretty good from everything they showed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it looked really good. This was the show, and we're like I was gonna play it anyways, but I'm now more happy than ever that I've waited this long to like jump into the game, because like I've been waiting. I'm like, this seems like the perfect time with like the police upgrade and like the entire perk overhaul and like combat being over, like everything. This seems like the perfect time for me to finally be able to jump in and be like, this is the game that should have been launched 3 years ago.
Oh, definitely, sure. Yeah, I was there. Oh man, what a game! Okay,
that was your own fault.
Get into it.
You should have waited.
Okay, listen. You tell me the release date. You tell me the release date is December 10th, 2020 on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. You released it on PlayStation and Xbox One. It's been 3 years almost. You released it on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And then the PS4 version sucks. And they're like, oh, I shouldn't have played it on PS4. That's what you released it on!
Why didn't you refund it like me?
Sounds like a skill issue.
I will just say, like, pushing back on the whole waiting thing, I played it at this point 2 months ago, and I know that's without like all the DLC improvements, but I'm still very like adamant in saying that my issues with the game are not going to be resolved with what they're doing with the systems they're adding and changing of the like skill trees and the police system. And like those are all great, and like I'm still happy for the like the people who are excited for the game and want more out of it. I just think like Cyberpunk will unfortunately always be fundamentally flawed for me. Now, I will also take this moment to eat my L.
Here we go. I wanted to bring this up.
I was very I shot my shot back in God, when was that? May? When was the Xbox showcase? June.
Yeah, it was like May or June.
Yeah, I shot my shot and said that the DLC will only be 30 FPS on consoles. I was wrong about that. It seems like to their credit, it looks like a clean 60 and like visuals still look good, and they're not really. I think dropping last gen is really helping the development of that game. So I will eat my L there, but I'm still salty enough to say that it's like at the end of the game, it's still or at the end of the day, it would have been a better linear game than I think an open world RPG.
It just feels like it was so ambitious for no reason. Like that was my thing with it. It's just that the core game for me is my issue with it. And even saying that, Fusion, I know you love Witcher 3. I think you're going to absolutely love Cyberpunk. I think without question you are going to love this game. It's just for me, the core issues of the game, they're not like those aren't going to be fixed with this patch or anything. So I know it's just I'm not really going to jump into this at all.
I'm glad I waited to play it for sure, though. I'll get to it eventually. Maybe that'll be like a January game.
Yeah, that's currently my plan. Is it's going to be my January game because nothing comes out in January.
Man, you should hate it, so I'm not alone.
You should hate it, so I'm not alone.
Nothing comes out in January. Tekken's basically February at that point.
Yeah, basically. Okay, Fusion. I did want to mention real quick as well. Todd talked about Starfield a bit. It showed a CG trailer. There's not really much to talk about here. Like, I'm ready for the game.
We're in less than a week now, and then we will be playing what might be amazing.
You sounded like you were gonna say a bigger statement. Like what?
Yeah,
hang on.
It didn't come to me, so I couldn't figure it out.
Well, it might be pretty good.
he didn't think of peak fast enough.
Do we want to do some last minute Metacritic for Starfield predictions?
I mean, 92. That's what I've been thinking the whole time.
94.
91.
Me.
I'm also thinking 94.
I'm gonna go 90.
Oh, look at the vision.
Also, shout out to the guy that like made that 45-minute video like with his ID and like leaking the first like intro to the game and like the character creator and then like advertised that he was selling illegal copies of it, and he got arrested today. So I think someone already made box art with his review of the game where it's no offense, Todd, but you made a banger or something like that.
Yeah,
he's just gonna slap it on the back of the box.
Why did he say no offense? That's what I'm still trying to figure out.
That's what makes it so funny.
No offense, Todd. You're the GOAT. It's like, why would Todd be offended?
I didn't watch the things though. Did it? I mean, I don't know if you want to spoil anything, but I'm ready.
There's a stories trailer. There's not much. I guess like for me, Fusion and Moon, since we watched the showcase, I do want to point out real quick, for emergency reasons, Dark had to step away. We'll see him next week. But what's it called? Me, Fusion, and Moon, since we watched the showcase, like what are our like ratings for the show? Fusion, I'll start with you.
Are we going letters or like numbers?
Numbers 1 through 10.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 4.
A 4.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds about right, Moon. What about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't go too much higher. I mean, I got trailers. That's really all that matters at the end of the day. And so I'll give it like a 5, 6 if I'm being generous.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think I would go about like a 5, just average. It's way too long. Like these shows do not need to be 2 hours long. But the trailers I got, I was pretty satisfied with, like Tekken, Grand Blue. Like I'm coming out with some good trailers at the very least. But yeah, that's everything Gamescom. related up. We spent quite a bit of time on Gamescom, but hey, we had a lot to say. Moving on to actually some sad news. Charles Martinet will no longer be voicing Mario. There was an official statement from Nintendo of America. Nintendo, Charles Martinet has been the original voice of Mario in Nintendo games for a long time, as far back as Super Mario 64, moving into a brand new role of Mario Ambassador. With this transition, he will be stepping back from recording character voices for our games, but he'll continue to travel the world sharing the joy of Mario and interacting with you. And an honor working with Charles to help bring Mario to life for so many years, and we want to thank and celebrate him. Please keep an eye out for a special video message from Shigeru Miyamoto and Charles himself, which we will post at a future date, which they still haven't posted. I'm still waiting for that. And then Charles Martinet on Twitter actually quote tweeted this and said, "My new adventure begins. You are all number one in my heart. Hashtag woohoo." Very bittersweet news. On the one hand, it's very nice to see Charles kind of retire peacefully and just say hey, my time with Mario is done. Obviously, as Mario's been with for a long time, that voice is so iconic, and Charles Martinet will be missed.
I think he didn't really have a choice in the matter. I think they did just move on and tell him he wasn't needed anymore. But I mean, still, he had an amazing career.
So.
I think he kind of just looked at it and said, I think he looked at his age. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some health thing that he's not talking about, and he wanted to get ahead of it before. He wanted to leave it before it got worse. And so he just said, you know what, I'm going to back off and this is just my time to go. I want to do it on my own terms, I guess, in kind of a way.
Yeah, I think they want to actually give Mario personality now, not just the wahoos.
Whoa. You're telling me he didn't have personality?
That is personality.
Dude, that's he's what personality do you want?
I wouldn't be surprised if the next 3D Mario game had Mario having full conversations.
It's not God of War. It's a platform.
No, not like that, but actual voice dialogue.
We need to defeat the world, Leviathan. What are you expecting that?
I don't know. I'm just expecting a little more.
You're not gonna get a little more. It's gonna be
it's more
3D platform. Man, you can get that out of Zelda, but leave Mario alone.
I do think they're doing this probably the best way possible is instead of announcing it before Mario Wonder was announced, because they also announced that he did not record for Wonder. So whatever Mario we heard in the Wonder trailer is the new person. And I think that's probably the best way to do it is you get it a couple months after the Wonder that everyone's sold on the game, and I don't think anyone was really suspicious. Mario sounds different.
No one was suspicious.
I mean, there were people, but the general majority was yeah, that's Mario.
Probably those people, though.
And so it's genius of them to wait a couple months after Wonder's been solidified in a lot of people's minds. Oh yeah, Wonder's looking really good. I'm going to go get that game. And then now we also have a couple months until the game's released to accept, this is not Martinet, this is some new person. And I do find it interesting that they're not revealing who it is. They're not making a big deal out of it. It's on, September 12th, we're going to reveal the new voice of Mario or do some kind of advertising campaign like that. It's no, you're going to see the new name in the credits of Wonder. So someone's going to speed run through that game to get that screenshot of the credits to post it to Twitter. I guarantee you.
I could see them saying who it is at the Direct.
So I'll say this real quick. An interesting theory. I real quick, I want to actually point out this news story. Steven Totillo over on Twitter has this. Nintendo rep confirmed to me that Charles Martinet will not perform any voices in Mario Wonder, and who will be the new Mario. Quote, character voice actors will be credited in the game credits, so please wait for the game to be released. So that tells me it's not probably not going to be in the Direct or anything. But what's it called? In the case of Mario, I actually don't think they want to advertise whoever voices Mario. So think of Mickey Mouse. We don't know the voice of Mickey Mouse. That's the thing. You see a lot of these age-old characters. We don't think of them through their voices, their voice actors as much. I feel that's kind of what Nintendo wants to go towards in that direction.
Not that. I think maybe because we see a lot of we know the original voices of the age-old characters, and then eventually they kind of wrap it to keep quiet. Because all in all, maybe they have someone has a controversy, and then they're big one of those Mickey Mouse or Mario. Then they have to deal with that, and they don't want to.
You're going down some conspiracy holes.
Yeah, I think Wolf has the right idea, because I was gonna also bring up Mickey, because 4 people have actually voiced Mickey Mouse, and no one ever has like
one knows who they
put
are.
that together, which obviously makes sense because Mickey's been around since like 1929. So it would be impossible for one person to be able to voice him this entire time. But yeah, I think it was cool that Nintendo obviously propped up Martinet for the work that he did do, and I think it is kind of his creation and his baby and everything. But like, I think it's cool that they send him off, and it's like, listen, this is going to be the next guy, but like, we're not going to treat him as like a celebrity, because it really should just be about Mario. And I don't also think, just in the same way that Mickey didn't all of a sudden start like getting this crazy dialogue between voice actors, I don't think Mario's going to change that much either, because that's not who he is.
Look at what's it called? Like the only like thing to this, at least in terms of like cartoon, like very age-old characters, is Mel Blanc, who if you don't know, he voiced like literally 90% of the Looney Tunes characters up until his death for like 60 years basically. Like he was the voice of like most of the Looney Tunes cast. That's the only one like similar in situation. But like Mickey Mouse, again, no one could really name the Mickey Mouse voice actors, and I feel like that's going to be the thing with Mario, where the new guy's going to get revealed in the credits. It's like Jeff from accounting. It's like, good job, Jeff. And then he's not going to have as much like media presence as like Charles did. Like that's kind of my viewpoint.
As long as it's not AI, I think I don't really care. That's like, just don't make it AI, for the love of God.
Just wait
I don't
until
think
it's Troy Baker. Troy Baker's he's gonna be Mario.
I'm down.
I'm down with that.
Did you guys see Ben Starr and Yang Ye's Mario auditions on Twitter? Those are pretty funny.
Yang Ye doing the Dragon of Dojima.
Yeah, it was so good. It was very good.
Hilarious.
I just also want to point out that Mickey Mouse does have 2 current voice actors right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and it's actually funny, like how they split it between either the cartoons, video games, and like rides at like the Disney parks. I met one of them and got his autograph. And it was the Mickey that did all the Kingdom Hearts Mickey stuff. So that was the cool version. He's the cool Mickey.
Cool one.
Yo, Donald Duck for real?
Don't remind me.
I'm still losing it over that clip.
I don't associate them with Disney. Like, what?
Shout out Snow Mike, dude. What a gem of a human.
So much. Moving on. This was a really interesting story. Benji Sales kind of did a good summary of Tom Warren's Verge article. Microsoft is selling cloud gaming rights for Activision Blizzard to Ubisoft to appease the UK CMA. 15-year deal. Activision Blizzard cannot be exclusive to Xbox Cloud Gaming and will be on other consoles. Activision Blizzard games joining Ubisoft Plus. Bob, what was your initial reaction to this? Because I'll be honest, I was extremely surprised to read this headline.
Let me tell you, Wolf. There's been a lot of fatigue over this ABK deal. And I have always been like, no, this is really fascinating stuff. Like, I really got it. Like, I learned so much about the legal system through this case. Shout out Hogue Law, who was doing a great job of covering the case for a while there. And it still does from time to time do updates. But everyone had their fatigue, and I'm like, no, it's still interesting. When this deal broke my brain, and I'm officially like, okay, can we wrap it up? I don't know, there are too many wires being crossed. I'm officially out.
I just need it to be over.
Yeah, we all want it to be over.
There was a point where it was interesting getting into the nitty gritty, but now it's just come on, it's gonna go through.
New. We know it's happening, and I am glad that there's a lot of stipulation so that these company mergers don't just happen super easily without anyone going hang on, wait, what are you trying to do? But it's also to the point where if they had good arguments, I wouldn't mind as much. But the arguments are well, you'd be the biggest console player. It's no, that's Nintendo. It's Nintendo, they're not part of the console race. When I heard that, I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's what I gave up.
Sony isn't even arguing against it anymore. It's just them trying to make it difficult.
Yeah,
exactly.
it is weird that the CMA was putting up this much of a fight over cloud.
Cloud gaming, man.
It's
do
the
you guys
future.
find it, do you guys find it interesting that's doing it? Yeah, that's
Not
how done we
really.
are with this deal.
Well, my only fear really with it being Ubisoft specifically is like, didn't they just like last year fend off a hostile takeover, and now like Tencent owns a large
No.
majority of the company?
That was like 10 years ago against Vivendi.
No. Like there was one last year where I'm almost 100% sure Tencent
Man,
came in and gave them funding to avoid another hostile takeover. So it's like,
Man, they are
that
doing this all the
kind
time.
of concerns me. And like Ubisoft isn't in the like they are getting better. Well, I mean, we'll talk about Ubisoft in a little bit here, but
we'll talk about
it, like I'm not like, who knows what Ubisoft will be in 10 15 years when they still have the rights to this stuff.
They'll be owned by PlayStation. That would be really weird.
Yeah, there you go.
That is not. I want it. That'd be funny, but that's not happening. I guess moving on from that, we don't have much else to say there. Fusion, we talked a little bit about this one in DMs. Ghost Runner 2 is dated for October 26th. This comes from the Ghost Runner Twitter account. Ghost Runner 2 launches October 26, 2023 on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X/S, Epic, GOG, and Steam. Watch the new trailer, pre-order Ghost Runner 2 today. And they showed a new trailer. It looks pretty cool, but the big thing is another fucking October game.
More October
like,
games.
I don't understand what are they terrified of in November? Just like, there's no way.
Persona 5 Tactica.
There's that, but there's no way, like, I don't understand when, like, how many devs actually take the Game Awards seriously. And I assume the Game Awards have nothing to do with some of these releases, but it's also like, we know there's a hard cutoff with the Game Awards and Jeff Keighley, so I don't know if any of these games are like, we want to like be included. I don't know if like the game. I assume showing up at the Game Awards makes your
cutoff
sales
is
look a lot larger.
like a little like just past like the midpoint of November. It's like the 19th or 20th or something like that. So
Yeah,
like you have
the actual like critics like sending in the things is earlier than that. Like I think they get
like and they also get games a lot earlier. They get games weeks ahead of time.
Yeah, no, this is so weird. Like, why release? It's such a busy month because you're kind of cannibalizing your game. Like, I was actually interested in Ghost Runner 2, but now I'm not gonna pick it up. I haven't played the first Ghost Runner to be fair, but like I heard great things about it. But like, why October?
I did.
Or like,
I played it.
Or like,
Oh,
are
how was it?
devs?
Oh, go ahead, Fusion.
Are devs like still scared of Call of Duty? Is that like still a thing where like they don't want to release next to Call of Duty?
That makes no sense to me because it's like I feel like that'd be so like okay, being scared of Call of Duty is one thing, but like you have all of November. Call of Duty comes out on the 10th. You can't come out on the 20th. Like
you want to hear what the current release schedule is for November? Because it's actually insane that people are picking October over November.
Let's hear it.
So, Star Ocean: The Second Story R, Thirsty Suitors, Fashion Dreamer, Quantum Error.
That's the scary
right.
one.
WarioWare Move It, The Invincible, Like a Dragon Gaiden, Air Twister, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, The Day Before, Hogwarts Legacy for the Switch, watch out.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Flashback 2, Naruto X Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, Persona 5 Tactica, Super Mario RPG, Biomutant for the Switch, Cricket 24, and Wild Shade Unicorn Champions. Why the hell is everyone picking October over maybe 2 games you'd have to fight over in November?
Because it used to always be November. It was always November was a month.
It was November, and then they were like, "Ah, man, we want to avoid the November rush. Let's go to October," and then it just switched.
I still think it has to be that old. I don't know about old, but I just don't know how relevant it is. But just marketing push of the holidays of like Black Friday, Cyber
Black
Monday,
Friday
and all that.
again.
Well, they definitely want to get it out before Black Friday. That's definitely.
That's what
But I mean, yeah, you still have like a good 2 weeks of November before that. So I was like, I don't understand.
So weird.
By the way,
That's why my
December
only guess is the Game
2023, the two releases Dragon Quest Monsters, The Dark Prince, and Avatar.
And
So
Avatar's a big
December's
one.
even more wide open.
Hey, Avatar, baby! Highest grossing movie. Let's go.
Well, nobody wants to release in December whenever they can win at the Keeleys.
Yeah, well, December in general is just kind of like that's after all the holiday shopping is done, so it really is just not a worthwhile month to December.
I wonder.
Release games in.
I
They
wonder
saw what
the
happened
shift
to
in
Marvel
December,
Midnight Suns.
I wonder what the shift in December releases would look like if the Keeleys took place in January.
It's never going to
What
take
would it-
place in January.
It will never, but you have to think there'd be an impact.
Yeah,
I doubt
maybe
it.
maybe for like games like Spider-Man or something, but like Ghost
Yeah.
Runner 2, as much as I think that's a cool game, I don't think they're picking October because of the Game Awards.
Like at most, they can win Indie Game of the Year. Even then, like that's doubtful.
And I do agree that that's probably not the reason, but there's also, I do think getting your name in the Game Awards is just like, that's just huge marketing. That's marketing you don't have to pay for when you're like, when you get your name surrounded by those awards. Where I don't think Ghost Runner would win an award. No offense to Ghost Runner, but like compared to what everything else is there. So maybe not in Ghost Runner's eyes, but like as Bob was saying, like a Spider-Man, like it's been proven that Sony wants their games to win awards and they want high Metacritics. Like,
I will say though, and the one I think piece or one like real like stick in the nail to show like December 2023 or December in general might be a good release. I don't think if High on Life released in any other month last year, it would have gone nearly. I mean, people wouldn't shut up about that game in December because it really didn't compete against anybody.
Mhm.
And like and I'm not saying every like big games need to release, but like small games like a Ghost Runner, I don't like you have nothing to lose by going in December rather than everyone forgets like that your game existed in late October because they're so busy with something else.
Dude, I swear to God, High on Life was like a freaking money laundering scheme or something. How the hell did that get so many players? Because I fucking watched one cutscene and I hated it so much. I
played through the whole game.
Dude, I don't know how you could do that because it's like the least funny humor in the world.
I wasn't bothered.
I think the real issue here is like all these games are trying to get away from Silksong. And like Silksong are struggling, so they're like
Listen,
they don't know what to do. They're panicking.
Again, I just want to point out, Fusion played Hollow Knight this year. He has not been in the trenches as long as I have, and yet he wants to act like he's the poor unfortunate soul.
I am the poor unfortunate soul.
It's 2024. We all know this.
Okay. Listen, we're not going to get into the Silksong debate.
I think it just comes down to a weird, like, mindset of, I don't want to say counter programming because, like, it's an action game and there's plenty of other action games coming out around that time. So it's not like, oh, well, you're surrounded by a bunch of FPS. Here's another FPS, but you're using a sword or something. It's just another action game. So it's not like they're going up against, a bunch of other genres. So I think it's just a weird, like, we just got to get our game out in this amount of time in this slot, and it doesn't matter if we're surrounded. Maybe they just don't care anymore these days because they realize
faith in their audience.
They have faith in their audience, and they just realize the people who want to play this game will play this game. Like we already saw Alan Wake and Assassin's Creed move, but I think when you're at the level of like a Ghost Runner, you kind of just are like, we're never going to be gigantic, so we're just going to release when we feel like it's the best time, and our fans will be there no matter what. We have our dedicated fan base, and they will play it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, look at Sea of Stars. God rest their soul. Just like releasing when they are.
Yeah, I want to play that game so bad, but I'm not. I'm playing Armored Core, then Starfield, then Baldur's Gate, then Spider-Man.
Gaming is back, baby.
Gaming is back.
Hey, Wolf. Gaming is dead.
What?
I don't know what you're talking
True.
about.
You're right. Yeah, the Twitch streamer told me.
FaZe Butthugger told me that gaming's dead.
FaZe Butthugger. I will say, really quickly, and Ghost Runner to talk. We barely talked about the actual game. The trailer looks good. That's all I'll say.
It's a very cool game.
Yeah, Ghost Runner was a cool game. It frustrated the hell out of me because I have a major skill issue, but it was still a cool game at the end of the day.
Sounds more exciting for me then. I'm kidding.
Well, if you know who's excited about Ghost Runner releasing 3 days after Super Mario Wonder.
FaZe Butthugger?
No, Phil Spencer, because that means it can come to Game Pass so much faster because they're not going to get the sales they want.
Moving on. Speaking of Phil Spencer, new Xbox console wraps. I guess maybe not Phil Spencer. It's Xbox. Experience the power of Series X in style. This comes from Xbox Wire by Monique Chatterjee. Sorry if I butchered that name. We're excited to announce that Xbox Series X console wraps are launching this year and pre-orders starting today. We know gamers want to be able to customize their consoles and show their support for their favorite games, and we are delivering an option that's more affordable and more sustainable than purchasing a special edition or limited edition console. The wraps are specifically designed for Series X and have a custom precision fit. Every detail was taken into consideration to ensure your console performance is preserved, vents are all clear, and small feet were added to the bottom of the wraps to ensure air can flow freely through the console. And then they actually showed off the Starfield one that will be launching in mid-October. And I will say, it looks good. It's a cool thing, but I don't know if this isn't something I would run out and buy immediately. But like it is, I do think this is actually better than limited edition consoles because no one buys the limited edition consoles unless it's your first like console into the thing, you know. So,
oh, you don't know about those collectors out there. We even know some of those people who buy
I'm
collectors.
A collector, and I wouldn't go that far. Like,
no, we know multiple people who have multiple versions of the same console just because it has a different pretty box.
That's true. Yeah, but I mean, this
is definitely the better solution for people like me.
Yeah, I will raise my hand and say I have the Halo Special Edition Series X. I was able to get one. No. But this is my point. I still bought a Starfield wrap, and I'm probably gonna cover up my Special Edition console because that's how good this aesthetic is. So
that is so funny.
I think they like props to Xbox because they got my ass.
It's that scene from Toy Story. I'm just like, with Halo, I don't want to play with you anymore.
I just need my Starfield controller to get here. That's all I care about.
Oh, dude, it's incredible.
Shipping, buddy.
Bro, I have
by the way,
it's supposed to be here by Thursday, so I should be playing early access Starfield that night with it.
If you guys have any money that's burning a hole in your pocket, there is a very cool Starfield controller stand on Etsy. I think it's like $27. It's pretty cool. It goes with the controller. It's pretty nice.
Bob, please.
Well, I'm sorry.
Listen,
I'm
not telling you need to drop it in the Discord chat, but
I'll hey, special slice of gaming insider scoop. I love this aesthetic so much that next week's closest to the messy pin, I'm going all out on the Starfield aesthetic. So get ready for that.
Hell yes.
Let's go.
Moving on. We got a pretty sad story from Axios. This comes from Stephen Totillo over at Axios. Sources, Ubisoft's canceled Immortals 2 was a big break from the company's formula. Developers behind a recently canceled Ubisoft game were aiming to create a Polynesian action-adventure game that combined traits from two all-time beloved games, the mystery-filled Elden Ring and Nintendo's seafaring Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, sources tell Axios. Details, Oxygen/Immortals 2 had been planned as a sequel to 2020's open-world Greek mythology adventure Immortals Phoenix Rising, and began development in 2021 before its recent cancellation, which was first reported by VGC. Elaborating on that to Axios, two sources familiar with the game's development, but not authorized to speak about the project, told of plans for a vast game set across a fictionalized version of the Polynesian archipelago, made primarily by Ubisoft's Quebec studio, but developed alongside Polynesian consultants. Fusion, this one made you really sad. How are you feeling?
Yeah, this is like, I mean, I remember saying a few weeks ago that I didn't believe this was canceled. Like, I was like, they just pushed it back, and now it's just like every week goes by, and I'm like, maybe they really did just cancel it. Like, it's just not.
They canceled it.
It's not coming back, which sucks. Because like, what they're saying is exactly what I wanted from a sequel. Like, I'm like. I'm not huge on the first game. I liked the first game, but like I didn't see what other people saw. But I knew they could build on a sequel, and it sounds like they were doing it like really well. And I'm so mad that Ubisoft just decided to just be a bad company again. It's just like they're doing like so many other things right.
Inspired by Elden Ring.
This could have been the first Ubisoft game. This could have been the first Ubisoft game like I play in a while. So it kind of sucks.
I mean, in general, like I'm right there with you. Like as a Ubisoft hater, like I don't know. This sounded interesting. Polynesian mythology, we barely ever get that, so that would have been extremely exciting. But no, inspired by Elden Ring, man. Like, dude, that's the best thing I could ever read. But
Yeah, that just sounds that just sounds like marketing thing of like that sounds like every typical elevator pitch I've ever heard. It's like here are these two really popular things, and we're going to explain that this is like those.
That's true.
I like map games. Ubisoft, the people that invented the map games, are now the worst people at making them, so I don't play those.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like it's just I'm fine with map games, but Ubisoft are the worst at making them. That's why I don't like their games. But like Ghost of Tsushima is a map game, and I fucking love that game. They're just I don't know. It's weird.
You guys just wait till Avatar hits.
Yeah, baby.
I have no interest in Avatar because I have no interest in the movies.
I don't think anyone had interest in the movies.
I don't think that you don't really have interest in the movies for the game.
No, that's money laundering. I always say that. There's no way.
The most depressing thing, though, about this is like this reminds me a lot of when Activision shuttered Toys for Bob. Or not Toys for Bob. Vicarious Visions. Yeah, you're right.
That was the most depressing news story of my life. I will forever remember that because
that
was
my and it's like, you know, at the end of the day, I could at least justify. It's like, all right, Call of Duty makes an obscene amount of money. Fine, you know what? Whatever. Like, if that's really like your business decision, I can at least from a business perspective understand a justification. But Ubisoft shuttering studios to make more Assassin's Creed. They have 8 Assassin's Creed projects going on right now.
12. I thought they had 12 planned. 12
if it's 12, great. Even worse. It's crazy to me that they are trying to do the same thing and doubling down on a franchise that like most people have so much burnout on now.
They still make so much money though. I mean, so much money.
They make a lot of money off this.
I'm 100% with you that it's annoying that they're just pushing these like projects off to make more Assassin's Creed, but Assassin's Creed is selling as good as it's ever sold.
Yeah,
did Valhalla sell as good as?
Yeah, Valhalla's the most.
Their most profitable game ever.
All right, well, I'm gonna go cry.
Well,
I didn't know that.
Well, the thing with Valhalla, it
was a console launch.
It was a console launch game, and those always launch a little bit better. Especially because it was probably one of the very few that are like it was truly next gen at launch. Like if like those PS5 and Xbox Series X versions looked like these are like next gen games. So it had that
with Xbox because they didn't have exclusive.
Xbox marketed it. They marketed it as their big exclusive, and even it launched before on Xbox before PlayStation. So
dude, I
like
still
2
remember
days, but it did.
It was so funny when they were like, guys, you know what we have at launch? Yakuza Like a Dragon exclusive. Yeah. The next gen upgrade. But still, hey, look, it's exclusive technically. Man, that launch is something.
Hey, they got the exclusive for the next Yakuza as well, right?
To just put that in perspective, Assassin's Creed Valhalla passed 1 billion in revenue. In 2021, I'm talking about a year after it came out. It passed 1 billion in revenue. Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
That was a big deal when GTA 5 did that like a year, what's it called, 10 years ago. That is crazy to think about. Just like now, Valhalla hit 1 billion.
GTA 6 is going to do that in less than a second. It's going to cost
do that
$1 billion
in like 3 hours.
Less than that.
Yeah.
Pre-orders are going to be $1 billion.
Yeah.
Upon hearing that statement, Fusion, I would like to really just hone in my Shaq impression. My apologies, I wasn't familiar with your game. The fact that it's making that much money, you know what? Fine, screw it. Shutter all your studios. Just make Assassin's Creed.
You're part of the problem. You bought it at launch.
There was nothing else to buy.
Yakuza Like a Dragon, the next gen upgrade. Come on, man.
I do think how well Mirage sells is going to determine. It's obviously not going to sell as much as like a Valhalla, and so if Mirage doesn't do well, that might be a rude awakening for Ubisoft.
Mirage seems like it'll be a good new game for the series, though. From whatever they're
it's gonna tap into the people who don't like the new Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla style of it. But it'll be interesting to see like how well does it sell compared to these years, because these last 3 Assassin's Creeds have been like giant money makers. So now we're gonna go back to the old formula to appease older fans. Now let's see if those older fans show up with those sales numbers.
And also, shout outs as an Arab, they have a full Arabic dub for that game. So, alhamdulillah.
What he said.
But
Thanks, guys.
Touche.
Hey, man, you Arabs do your thing. All right, moving on. We talked quite a bit about that one. I want to move on to this. Bob alluded to this earlier. Konami confirms Metal Gear Solid Master Collection resolution on each system. This is from Chris Scullion over at VGC. Hands-on preview for the compilation, including VGC's own preview, were published earlier this week, and confusion arose over what display resolution each platform was using. Konami has now clarified to render at the following resolutions. All platforms except Switch, 1080p 60 frames per second target, and then Switch docked mode, 1080p 30 frames per second, and Switch handheld mode, 720p 30 frames per second. Now, if our bench goes, oh, you don't even notice the okay, I'm just gonna say this: MGS2 on PS2 launched at 60 frames per second, so there's no defending this, in my opinion.
I still don't know what console I'll buy it on. So.
I mean, the Switch still has the handheld factor, so like that's still there.
Yeah.
But how the hell does a game? How did they get it to run at 60 frames per second on the PS2, but on the Switch they're like, we can't figure this out.
Well, isn't there is it like the remaster versions and they're still doing work on top of that?
It's the remaster that they've used since the Xbox 360. The same remaster, the HD collection, and they're basically porting it and then adding MGS1 and like Metal Gear 1 and 2, and then selling it for like 50 USD. So that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is like after the Red Dead port running how it does on the Switch, it's like, all right, you know what? Like at this point, if you're Konami, like my biggest fear with these remaster collection was that they were gonna start tweaking some things instead of maybe I forget if we've talked. I forget if we've talked about this, but the whole like they're putting a disclaimer instead of actually changing content in the game.
So I guess so. The thing that kind of like got them in a little bit of hot water, the reason that they actually had to pull the original like HD collection from like the Xbox store and whatnot, was that there was footage, like real world footage from Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, like stuff that was real world that apparently the copyright like expired on. They had to like pay it again. It was like this whole like little legal dispute. And I remember they said, it's like, hey, we're gonna take them off the stores for now. We'll tell you when we bring them back. And this is how they're bringing them back, which is really funny
right.
when you think about it.
Well, I just meant I think there are themes or stuff in again, I haven't played them, I don't know 100%, but like
I know what you're talking about.
There are things that haven't aged well that I was afraid they would just cut or censor or change. Whereas, like, fine, if you just want to do a straight port and not put any effort into it, Rockstar's clearly going to make a shit ton of money from Red Dead. So it's like, you know what? At least you're bringing these games. Well, actually, no, it'd be 4 that would be bringing it to a modern hardware, since you can still technically play 2 and 3.
Are we?
No, you can.
I have a question.
1 you couldn't play. So MGS1.
Got it. Okay. So then, yeah. So you're bringing it to a modern console. Who cares?
Go ahead, Ben.
Are we past the point of major game censorship? Because you're looking at games like Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate, and I think we're pretty much past the major censorship that happened. That's happened over the past.
It's still gonna be there for a decent amount of games.
When it comes to China, they're still gonna censor things.
China, like that's the thing. Like maybe in the West, I can see. I think I could see your point, at least in terms of like the US. Maybe they're gonna avoid censorship there, but like China, you're still gonna get censorship there. Australia, still there.
Like
you're
the
picking
Middle East.
penis A, B, or C now in all these games. So,
I'm sorry, Benchka.
You're picking penis A, B, and C now in several games. So
yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like in the West, but like again, China, the Middle East. Trust me, as a Middle Eastern, I can tell you right now that some of these games are like, what is this?
Bench, I think honestly to answer your question, to know if like we're past the age of censorship or not is if they ever remaster or port Bully, because that's another game that I think quote unquote wouldn't fly. And it's like if they were to release that under the current like just climate of the world, I think that would be like, yeah,
it's on,
okay, fine.
It's on modern consoles. It's on PS4. It got re-released there.
Right, but I'm saying for like a either like a remaster or like a sequel, honestly. But I mean, asking Rockstar to do anything not GTA or Red Dead related is like just a astronomical reach at this point.
If you haven't played Bully, that game is phenomenal. It is so good for no reason. I love it. But yeah, no, in general, I will say this is just sucky for me because it's like, man, I really want people to experience these games the best way possible. Like, these are like the greatest games of all time. I really like someone like Bob to like play this game and go, oh, I get it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I can still emulate it too, so it's like, you know what, I can still get what I want out of it if I have the right method. So
there you go. Moving on. This is interesting. Prime Video actually tweeted this out. This isn't really as much gaming news, but tangentially related. Vault 33, location Los Angeles. Fallout, an original series coming to Prime Video in 2024. And also at Gamescom, we saw footage of the Fallout TV show. It was supposed to be under wraps. Todd was like, this isn't supposed to come out to the public. Someone had their phone out. Everyone's going to have a phone out at these events. So someone recorded it. Did anyone watch the teaser? And before we actually get into the teaser, the picture that Prime Video showed is AI generated, so that's fun.
Is it really?
Well, the background art is at least.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think Vault Boy is fine, but like the actual background, like you can like notice it with the cars very much. So
yeah,
like,
the red car that's like in the foreground.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's double-sided front has like headlights, and also someone went to like an AI art generator and typed in like 1950s like LA, and it like the exact same image came up.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really weird. But did anyone watch the actual like trailer for the TV show?
No, didn't even know it leaked.
Nope.
Okay.
I saw like it's like a 30-second clip, right?
Yeah, like 30 seconds. It's a very, very small teaser.
Yeah. It's hard to gain anything from it, but it's like, you know, it's funny because with like the PlayStation stuff, they're like kind of 2 for 2. Well, on TV side, the movies I don't think are doing well, but like Last of Us, have you seen the? You know, but like the Last of Us and Twisted Metal have both, for different reasons, gotten pretty good reception, whereas I feel like Halo didn't, and other like Witcher is kind of mixed. So it's like listen, it looks fine, but I'm gonna reserve my judgment until it actually comes out, probably.
Like Bob said, like there's not really much there, but I will say aesthetically, like they showed like the ghouls and the power armor. Just from an aesthetic standpoint, it looks great. I think it actually looks really cool. But like again, this is like very, very early. We barely know anything about this thing. Los Angeles also great setting. That means Bob, we'll get some NCR stuff.
True, and 33, favorite number. Shout out 33 Immortals. You know, one of my favorite games from the Xbox
33
presentation.
Immortals fans always want to bring up 33 as a number. I swear.
It's a great number. That being said, as long as there's not a 1992 Chevy Tahoe randomly in a scene that doesn't make any sense for it to be there canonically, I'm fine.
Hey, you never know. Moving on, this is a pretty interesting discussion topic that kind of came around, but also good news for Xbox players. What's it called? Swen Vink over on Twitter. Super happy to confirm that after meeting with Phil Spencer yesterday, we found a solution that allows us to bring Baldur's Gate 3 to Xbox players this year still. Something we've been working towards. All improvements will be there with split screen co-op on Series X. Series S will not feature split screen co-op, but will also include cross-save progression between Steam and Xbox Series. Now, this kind of started a really interesting debate about the Xbox Series S and like whether it's holding back game development. This was also a tweet I saw from Alex Donaldson. The absolute most common thing Gamescom has been devs off the record absolutely slating the Series S. It's a great value little machine, but developers despise it, man. And this is a pretty widespread talking point about the Series S and whether or not it's holding back game development. I wanted to hear y'all's thoughts on this.
I think it is. I think limiting.
Elaborate.
From what I at least saw, at least from that tweet alone, and if you look at some of the responses to that tweet, it seems like this guy may be bullshitting. So maybe it's not entirely true. Maybe there are some developers who are like, "Ugh, the S is holding our game back," but maybe it's not as widespread as it's making it out to be. So it's hard to say exactly. I do think it possibly is to some extent.
I think it is, and I think another topic was that Xbox isn't going to have a mid-gen refresh, and if PlayStation does, that just messes things up more.
I can pull that story real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to mention that too, so you might as well just talk about the refresh as well.
Shinobi over on Twitter just summarized an IGN article real quick. Xbox boss Phil Spencer reiterates there's no need for a mid-generation refresh for Xbox Series X/S. Quote, I think we need to let devs settle on this hardware and get it. I'm just gonna real quick. Here's the thing. I semi-agree with Bench. I don't think the Series S is holding back development now. I think it could in the future. That's a big could. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But like, I think in the future, you never know like how much processing power these games are gonna be. From what I've heard, RAM seems to be the big issue with the Series S.
Correct.
I mean, you're going to have Elder Scrolls 6 be required to be on the Series X, and that game is 5 or 6 years away. There has to be constraints on that. That's got to be limiting to what they want to do and can do.
But we're also only talking about split screen for Baldur's Gate 3. It's not like they couldn't run the game like the way.
But also, it's just part of a bigger conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the big issue in general, split screen.
Sure.
I think, though, this is part of a bigger conversation is, in the long run, should they keep the requirement to have Series X, everything be on both, or can something just be Series X? Which I think they should do that.
I think feature parity, I think, is like an issue. They were very, very, like, going hard with, Baldur's Gate 3 can't release on Xbox Series because we can't get the split screen, and they won't let us remove the split screen from the Series S version because it needs the feature parity. That seems to be the thing a lot of the devs are like dealing with.
Well, that seems to be
they talk with Phil, and Phil
that seems to be like what the whole Phil conversation was. Like, can we get around this Xbox rule that everything needs to be shared between X and S? And Phil's like, hey, you know what? Okay, it's okay that you launch Baldur's Gate 3 on the S without split screen, and while the X version does. So what that means is there's going to be two versions on the store. That one that's going to say X compatible, one that says like S compatible. So everyone's got to download the right version.
I mean, like with Baldur's Gate, if PlayStation does bring a new, more powerful PS5, and the Xbox doesn't bring one and still has the S, there are going to be big games that don't come on Xbox, like Baldur's Gate 3, and that's going to hurt Xbox because they're just going to go PC and the console that it can run on.
People thought Baldur's Gate 3 was a PlayStation exclusive, but like
that was all disingenuous, though.
Yeah, but still,
no, it just showed up at PlayStation's things, and that sure, but it brings to the common consumer. It may seem like that, or they can just get that game on PlayStation. It hurts Xbox overall, and definitely will in the long run. Maybe not as big now, but we could see big third-party games, or just not come to Xbox because they don't want to have to deal with that.
I'm Fusion, or not Fusion, Bench. I let you say your piece, but I am staunchly against this idea because
here we go.
Listen, the Switch still exists. People like fucking Respawn are still developing for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and like consoles as a whole, they used to have more proprietary tech or more like kind of weird stuff that didn't like exactly coincide with PC. And I'm not a developer. I'm not trying to be, but like we are now in a world where the consoles are using AMD hardware and the CPUs and the GPUs are actually like for the first time ever on a competent level. We don't have cell processors. We don't have mobile CPU chips in these things anymore. I'm not exactly sure where the scalability is in that, because obviously, like, I do think there are legitimate concerns with the Series S, but at the same time, game development has been so shit like ever since this next gen has come out, games are more unoptimized than ever. It's like, oh yeah, you can get 60 frames if you have a 4080. It's like hardware should not be the solution to get these games running. I'm sorry, like developers, like I get you want to make ambitious games and you want to like push the envelope, but like no one's saying that about the Switch. No one's saying that about like the games that are still being cross-gen. I don't understand why the Series S specifically is getting picked on over like split screen when it's like there are so many other things. Like people are still running PCs with 1080s in them, and their games are still running fine. So I don't understand why like this is like becoming such a big deal.
I mean,
I think the games on.
I'll push back just a little bit on the Switch comment. I feel like a lot of people tend to complain about the Switch, maybe not on the developer side, but like you say, I do think talent is also a major thing. Where like Nintendo EAD, that's the Mario team, or I think it's R&D, I forget, but they they somehow can make. I feel like they can release a new 3D Mario on the GameCube and it would look just as good as games today. Like they are out of this world talented, and it really just comes down to talent. And I think just a lot of developers also, are, I guess, unfairly blaming the consoles in a way. So I do agree with you there, but I also just think, again, in the future, it could be an issue in terms of rendering, like with that RAM. Like, I don't know. Again, I am not a developer at all. I barely understand this tech stuff, but just from everything I've heard and listened to, I feel like it could be an issue. Again, could.
Well, I think also too, just the like, you are right where like obviously people probably don't like developing for the Switch, but it's got what 100+
Yeah, they
million
have to
like
develop
user
for
It's
base.
worth
It's like
it,
they kind of
yeah.
have to. And for this, they're just looking at Series S and they're like, oh, it's got like what 10, 15 million in sales. We don't have to do that. Like I think it is kind of this selective thing where it's like, oh, we don't. And I get it too. I'm sure the developers would love to take as much time as they can to like make these games run well, and they're getting pushed from executive teams and shareholders that have never touched a controller to put their games out, and I do understand that, but I just fundamentally hate this idea recently that it's like, oh, we need a mid-gen refresh because the games aren't hitting 60 anymore. It's like, no, we just need to actually like work on these consoles and get them running, because like at the end of the PS4 we got Last of Us Part 2 that still holds up, and it
That
was
game
running
was
on a
incredible.
base PS4. And we got Gears 5 from Xbox, and we got Ori, and like the Switch is running Tears of the Kingdom and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So it's like these things can be done, and I'm kind of like, we're at the point where hardware is so homogenized compared to where it used to be, where it's like I'm kind of tired of just blaming the lowest spec console that's still miles ahead of where we were just 3 years ago.
I definitely agree we don't need a mid-gen refresh, but that's going to happen whether we like it or not.
Oh, PlayStation.
But okay, so this will be my last pushback point, because I've pretty much said what I need to say. But like,
We'll start a Fight Club with you two later.
the mid-gen refresh on the PS4 and the Xbox made sense because, well, kind of, because it introduced HDR and 4K.
Mhm.
At this point, what feature would they be adding to a mid-gen refresh? Yeah, right. Like 8K. Like seriously, are we really gonna say that these things are running 8K? And
It's on the box.
and then it's like, so it's like, what, you're gonna make mid-gen refresh just to get to the kind of hardware like performance that you said the original consoles can do and probably still can do? It's like, I don't want to just slap a band-aid on it just because the developers are not optimizing properly. I just fundamentally hate that.
That's fair.
They're doing it because they can. I think that's at the end of the day. They're just going to sell it on more power.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I think everyone is going to complain about it. Like, a lot of devs are going to complain about it, but it's like, they're still going to make it. Like, they're still going to work on it and, like, figure it out, It's a learning process. That just comes with every console generation. That you kind of have to switch gears. It's like, okay, what are we working on with this piece of hardware?
I just hope Larian, credit to them, they have enough leverage to do this because they have a potential game of the year on their hands, and like I know from what people have said, like they are perfectionists and they take a lot of pride in their craft, and like respect to them for getting Phil to kind of give him some leeway. I just hope this doesn't open the floodgates for like Joe Schmo developer to be like, we don't want to develop on this. It's like, no, dude, come
That's
on.
hard.
It sucks that for them to drop feature parity, they had to drop a banger 10 out of 10 game though. That's if it wasn't a successful game, Xbox wouldn't have bothered. They wouldn't have budged.
Sure.
Again,
But
say
it
it's a
okay,
banger,
and
10 out of 10. You haven't played it, but continue, Bob.
but
This is a
also
general
okay. Tinfoil hat though for a second, and this
Oh,
will be
here we
my
go.
one conspiracy.
I'm
It
ready.
is kind of convenient that they didn't have to release their game on Xbox the same day as Starfield. You know, it is kind of convenient that like this split screen feature parity thing came up and they had to delay the version instead of absolutely cannibalizing the shit out of their RPG sales on the console that is releasing a game of the generation, or at least marketed game of the generation RPG. So it's like it kind of works in Larian's favor that they had to delay this version. So it's a little gray.
It's
And since we didn't bring it up, there is still apparently split screen going to be added. They did say where you're going to be adding it post launch, so it's not like they're cutting the feature.
Yeah.
It's just delayed for whatever
When do y'all
reason.
think-
Why didn't they do that early? Wait, why was
When do
that
y'all
like
think it drops?
feature parity is so dumb.
October, that'd be funny.
Just throw it
they
in
release
October
it
with
on
everything
October.
else.
Nah, I think
I
it's
think
December.
November, December.
Yeah,
December.
I think
December.
December would be their smartest play.
You know, it'd be
Release
really
it same
funny.
day as Spider-Man.
You know, yeah, it'd be really funny if it's like they get to the Game Awards and it's up for a bunch of awards right now. And it's like, and right now you can play it right now on Xbox.
Yeah,
Like
Game
they
of the
shadow
Year
drop it on
edition.
Game Awards.
They literally win Game of the Year, and they're like, and now you can play the Game of the Year edition on
Okay,
Xbox.
Game of the Year
Well, hold
edition.
up. Game of the Year.
If they win Game of the Year, I'm protesting.
Oh, I 100% agree. I do not like. I don't think it. I haven't played it, but I don't like. I still think Tears of the Kingdom is my game of the
Fusion
year.
hasn't played it yet. It's his number one. He fights for Baldur's
No,
Gate 3
no.
like he's put 1,000 hours in it, man.
I just know Larian as a studio, and it's like you guys
That's
write
fair.
them off so easily. Like no one here has played
Well,
Larian games but me. I
Okay,
mean,
that's
maybe
fair.
Botpad, but like no one here has. So I understand like what the game quality is, and it was more the fact that like how many records this game has broken last week and all that.
No,
And then, like
yeah,
you guys were like,
Fusion-
it's not a lock to even
Fusion-
be up there.
I'm
Fusion's
giving
above
you a
us
hard
all.
time. Yeah, I'm giving you a hard time. I get it, but it's just funny.
Look, we all know Far Cry 6 won Game of the Year and had its Game of the Year edition, so I guess this
True.
can too.
That is true.
Trump's Game of the Year. I needed to take a cigarette after that. I don't even smoke. Moving on. Persona 3 brand new trailer and the reveal of a collector's edition. Wario 64 had this. Persona 3 Reload, PS4, PS5, Xbox Standards collector's edition up for pre-order. Releasing February 2nd. It got its date. Moon, I know you're a big Persona guy. How do you feel about this?
It's exciting. They released their best trailer. It looks like the visuals got a slight overhaul and everything just looks better. The big thing that kind of came out of this, along besides the release day and the collector's edition, which I'm iffy on the collector's edition, but the big thing here is that there's no Switch version, which confirms that those earlier pre-orders on various
weird.
Yeah, there were so many Switch things on various websites saying, "Hey, pre-order the Switch version," and now there's no Switch version. So we don't know what's going on here. I know this
Maybe
game
later.
runs on Unreal, which Shin Megami Tensei 5 also ran on. So we know the Switch can run this game because it played
Maybe
Shin Megami Tensei. Now, granted, I've heard from some people, I haven't played the game myself yet, and I need to, but apparently Shin Megami Tensei 5 didn't run the greatest on that platform.
Yeah,
So maybe now that we're a couple of years after Shin Megami and Persona 3 looks to be even more ambitious visually, that they've reached a point now, okay, no, the Switch can't run this anymore.
Maybe
But-
a certain console's going to drop late next year. That would
Yeah,
be a good
and then
fit
we're
for
gonna
Switch
see the
version.
Switch 2.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
that would
be a
actually be
launch
really
title.
funny.
I'd be down for that, honestly, if it's a launch title.
But yeah,
like-
the trailer looks great. I can't
Trailer was
wait.
great, and the dates is like surprising, but yet not surprising at the same time. Like we knew it was going to be pushed out like really early 2024 because we know they're going to get that game out, and then they're going to go hard into Metaphor for the remainder of the year because that's probably a late summer, early fall game. So it makes sense that I was expecting some February, March, but I wasn't expecting like literally the first week of February. So that's cool. And sorry, Grand Blue Fantasy and Suicide Squad, you just got outmatched.
Oh my god, Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad also comes out like the day before too.
I think it comes
At
out
least-
the day of.
Oh
At
yeah,
least
day of,
this
it is
and
the second. Yep.
At least this and 7 Rebirth will have some space between them. I don't have to pick.
Oh, I forgot about Rebirth.
They're gonna reveal that for
Rebirth will-
February 2nd.
Rebirth's
Rebirth
definitely
will be
like
March
late.
1st.
Yeah, late February, early March, I think.
No, I
I
think
hope they
March.
put the last week of January for fun.
Just,
they
just
relieve
to
it-
piss on
I
Suicide
swear to
Squad.
God.
Well, I mean, Forspoken released last
what I mean.
weekend of
And
January,
How-
so
how
it's
did
like it's
that work out
possible.
for it?
Okay,
How did that work
listen,
out for it?
listen, listen.
Did people like that game? Did people give it game of the year?
Listen, because it released in January, that's for sure.
Yeah, if it released in
7
February,
remake.
people were like, "Oh, this game's actually not bad."
Could you imagine if on the review it's like, released too early in the year, 6 out of 10?
Says that.
And I'm pretty sure OG Final Fantasy VII released in January.
No,
Well,
seven remake.
that
or
was
OG?
19.
No, OG
97.
like the 90s.
Yeah,
like the
it's just
90s.
90. No, that's like
Yeah.
that's
7
I'm
remake
gonna
was
tell you-
April.
market.
Square Enix loves January. That's all. That's you got to worry about it a little bit.
Yeah, they love it so much they released Forspoken there.
Oh, that was
7
good
remake
mistake.
was originally March and then it was pushed to April. So I'm expecting something around there.
Yeah,
it's
it's
in
March.
March.
Makes sense. All right. Pretty quick news story altogether. Next one. Oh, I want to make fun of this thing. Sony's
Here we go.
portable PlayStation Portal launches later this year for $199. This is Tom Warren over at The Verge. Sony is officially launching its portable PlayStation later this year. The PlayStation. Don't call it portable PlayStation. Don't you
Yeah,
dare,
what?
Tom. That is not. Do not stain the PSP that way. If continuing, the PlayStation Portal remote player, the handheld device will stream PS5 games over Wi-Fi and feature an 8-inch LCD screen running at 1080p resolution at 60 frames per second. Sony says the portal will be available this year, priced at $199.99. Quote, PlayStation Portal will connect remotely to your PS5 over Wi-Fi, so you'll be able to swiftly jump from playing on your PS5 to your PlayStation Portal, says Hideki Nishino, Senior Vice President of Platform Experience at Sony Interactive Entertainment. Quote, PlayStation Portal can play supported games that are installed on your PlayStation 5 console and use the DualSense controller. Bop, you sound very excited to make fun of this thing.
I excited's a word. So for context, I am very much into the handheld market. I have a GPD Win 4, and if you don't know what that is, that's because that's how into the handheld market I am, that I don't have a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally. I have something else from China that was through an Indiegogo, but I digress. My point there is that the handheld market it's not the issue with the Portal is not that there isn't a handheld market, because I think a companion device that can play your games on the couch, when you don't have the TV, whether it's a significant other watching The Bachelor or like sports are on and you want to watch that, or you got kids, whatever. Like, I think there is a genuine need, or not need, but like there is a market for this kind of system. The problem is, you are asking for $200 for a streaming device that can't even play your entire catalog because the games that are already streaming only cannot be played on your streaming device. Please let me know how that makes an ounce of sense. And on top
the same price as a Switch Lite.
Right, it's the same price as a Switch Lite, which can play games locally. It is $50 cheaper usually, because it's mostly on sale, than the Logitech G Cloud, which can stream every console and every system, whether it's Nvidia, whether it's Steam, whether it's Xbox and PlayStation. Hell, they probably got a Nintendo streaming thing back end on there, if I were to guess. And it's for an extra $50. And it can also play things locally through like the Android emulation and stuff. And I'm sure that the PlayStation Portal will have, someone's going to figure out how to jailbreak that thing. And maybe once we learn the kind of what it can do once it's jailbroken with the SoC that's in it, maybe it can get some extra credibility to it. But I just find that having DualSense features is not enough to justify $200 for a companion. I mean, you need a PS5 for this. It is a companion device through and through, and for a first party to be charging this much money for that, it just continues to go to show that like Sony is going for the premium experience, and what that means is it's a premium price tag with features that like they're not going the extra mile, but they're going to charge you like they are, and that is very, very frustrating.
Very Apple-like.
Yeah,
that behavior,
100%.
which that is the last thing I want Sony to become is Apple.
So what you were talking about, like it can't play streaming games.
So the in PS Plus was a premium. They have the older like PlayStation.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about those streaming games.
Yeah. So like they could, because again they can't even figure out their own backwards compatibility. So then they stream those games. You cannot play those through the portal because I would imagine they don't want the double latency of streaming it to your PS5 and then streaming it to the portal. But it's like, did you guys think maybe cut off the fucking middleman and just stream it directly to the goddamn portal?
I don't get it. Like, how is it 200? And also, this is the worst design thing I've ever seen. What is this design? It's literally a screen and like two halves of a controller glued on, like Ultra Hand and Tears of the Kingdom.
Right.
Like, it's ridiculous. I don't understand the like. I see the market, like you were saying, Bob. Like there is a market there. This is not how you capitalize on that market with something that's $200 for a companion device.
The other thing too is that
Wi-Fi, maybe, but I don't know.
Continue. Right, and like I bet you the latency on this thing's gonna be pretty good. I have no like, at least I better hope it is, or else I'm going to be even harder dunking on this thing. But the other thing too is like Sony is a consumer electronics company. They make phones, they make viewfinders for cameras, they make screens, they make monitors. Like none of the components in this thing should cost $200. Like you are a first party device. You can make, like Valve took a major cut on their hardware because they know you're going to be buying software. Logitech can't do that, and they're still only $50 more expensive than you, and they are a complete third party that doesn't have as many of these like subsidized pipelines for production. So it just, every time I think about it at like a different detail of this handheld, I'm like, and then, you know, I think one of the most common responses is like, oh, well, the DualSense Edge is $200, and it's like, maybe both of them are overpriced. Maybe like you are overpaying as a consumer for something that is being marketed to you as $200 in value, but when you look at the competition, it's really not, and that's just, this is why the whole like Activision thing, like ABK thing with like Xbox, we need some competition. Like I hate when Sony gets like this because
it's Sony. This is what happened at the beginning of the PS3 generation.
Yeah, it's just not like, and like I don't begrudge anyone who wants to buy this thing, and for people who really do like this thing and don't want to mess around with something like a Logitech G Cloud, I totally understand that. I just wish they were a little more like, just be a better like business for the consumer, but it's clear at this point they have enough staying power that that's just not going to happen, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, overall sucky situation. No other thoughts on that, I guess.
You think it's like jacked up in price mainly because it is a DualSense controller, so they're jacking it up the price to have that DualSense attached on there?
They're jacking it up in price because they know they can. That's the only real reason.
Yeah, well, like they already make margins on DualSense, so it's like if you keep those same exact margins, there's no way a LCD screen and a streaming SoC, I mean, we're not talking about playing games locally. It's just like the computer chip shouldn't be, like, you might have to make tweaks for latency, but like there's no way that costs an extra $140 with their pipeline. Like they already, like I said, they're already consumer, like they make phones. They should have some of these processors or similar processors that they can get different variations of, and like same with the screen. So I'm just not buying that it's justified.
Moving on. This is a pretty quick and just interesting story I found. Xbox exec says Starfield kicks off a multi-year relay race of first-party titles. This comes from Tom Ivan over at VGC. an Xbox release is likely a starting gun for a steady stream of first-party titles. With the likes of Redfall and Starfield delayed to 2023, last year was quite a year for Xbox releases, and the launch of Arcade's Vampires ultimately disappointing, according to Phil Spencer. But Xbox Chief Marketing Officer Jarrett West told GamesIndustry.biz that he's super excited about the regular releases the company has planning Starfield's arrival on September 6th. This is, in my mind, the doorway, almost like a starting gun, to what I think is going to be a relay race for first-party titles, he said. So I kind of want to bring back this kind of old talking point. I think Matt Booty was the first to originate this from, of this idea that the Xbox wants to release one major game per quarter. And it seems like from what this Xbox exec is saying, they think Starfield is going to be the start of that. And I think we already see that. I'm actually going to bring up this news story real quick while we have it. Stalker 2 will now release in Q1 2024. The developers have confirmed, coming from Okami Games over on Twitter. So we have 3, because September is still technically Q3. And then you look at Q4, we have Forza. And then Q1 of next year is going to be Stalker. I mean, do you guys think this is the start of this big game per quarter that Xbox really wants to hit?
Stalker is an Xbox, though.
Yeah, but
It's
it's a major game for Game Pass.
It's a Game
I
Pass
could
thing.
see-
They're like they have like the
they're
marketing
viewing it
rights.
as theirs. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like this is a Game Pass title. I think
Well,
that's
kind of like in the way
then-
High End Life is
Or what-
was pushed as an Xbox game.
But even then, I wouldn't be surprised if Avowed or Hellblade or something releases in Q1 too. Like, I don't know if they're necessarily talking about Stalker in this case.
of course just interesting to bring up.
I do
Like,
think
I
we
was
could
gonna
have a
mention that
first-party
is like
game.
Avowed is like also right, and they're going to be in that time frame too. So it definitely seems like everything's falling into place to really be doing that as long as everything goes according to plan.
I mean,
course.
Hellblade could be Q1 next year.
100%.
It better be at this point. How many times are
Yeah,
you going
right.
to delay that video game? I mean,
know.
I want to believe what they're saying, but until they show me they can do it, I'm not going to believe them.
I mean, the big thing is like if they want to do this, like is there? That's like my number one. Like, don't do another Redfall. Like just to say you released a
can't.
game in the first, like because they wanted to hit that like, oh, you know, all these first party years, like the games will come out like the first half of what was it, like a year that one E3 in 2022.
It's like why do they keep putting deadlines on themselves?
Don't put a deadline on
Right.
yourself. Like it's just if somehow you miss a quarter, fine, as long as the games are good. Like that's all that matters. Like it's a weird deadline to try to force on yourself.
It is, and like none of the other publishers come out and say like this is our goal for that. Like they might have a rough draft of like a roadmap, but like Xbox is so keen on like putting like certain brackets around their game releases, and they have yet to hit it once in 10 years. So
Yeah, I don't
know.
understand why their marketing department keeps shooting themselves in the foot like this, because Matt Booty also said during, I think he was when he was on the Giant Bomb couch, and this has been repeated by like so many game developer like execs. I remember Sean Layden said the same thing, where it's like game development is taking longer than it ever has, and you can't expect to have these tight deadlines. And it's like, I get it, Xbox
They're
has,
doing the
well, once they
deadlines.
have ABK, I get it, you have 30 studios, you should, the math probably works out to where you should have a game every quarter. But yeah, it's like, why would you self-impose these deadlines just to be like, look, we're gonna like, this is what we're gonna do? It's like, yeah, I bet for the next year they probably have a game a quarter, but there's no way this is gonna be sustainable. It's like, why set yourself up?
Well, just to dig into how they worded it, it definitely sees he's like, this is what we're hoping, this is what we're going to try to do, but it doesn't feel like they don't feel like this. It's like we're definitely doing this. Just like this could be the beginning of something. It's like, but you know, things could happen. So he's definitely like, oh, this is what we're aiming for, but you know, things. So he's wording it to avoid, I think, that expectation. But of course, the internet's going to run with be like, Xbox is saying we're going to have a game out every quarter. So
this is
risky
still the
thing.
same Xbox team that like says every E3, hey, next, I mean, it's a meme at this point where it's like, hey, next
E3,
year,
guys.
that's when the games are coming. And it's, so it's like at some point, it's like, you gotta recognize when you just like, don't say anything. Like, be like, you know what, we have a lot of exciting games in the pipeline and we hope we can get a steady cadence out. But like, you don't need to be so specific.
Yeah, like Sony doesn't, and it has like
Yeah,
one
I
or
was
two
about to
games
say,
this year, and
I'm gonna
everyone's fine
do-
with that.
I'm getting on my Sony pony horse. Like, you know what Sony does? They're like, hey, look at this game. Looks good, right? Check it out. And then that's it. They don't go, and we're going to have 3,000 games next year, and the year after that, we're going to have 4,000. Like, no, don't force this stuff onto yourself.
Does it help or hurt Xbox that it has a very big public persona?
It overall helps.
It helps.
It helps because like they are seen as like the good guys almost to like kind of the quietness of Sony and Nintendo. But it all like as who said it? Who said both? Moon? Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we all did.
I think everyone said it. But like I do think it is like harmful because like that means everyone's gonna be looking at you at all things versus Nintendo. I feel like a lot of companies like really wish they could be Nintendo where it's like just quietly do stuff and everyone's like, we're Nintendo. What a weird company.
And it's like a double-edged sword from the fans because like as fans, like I like when I like knowing what Xbox is doing. Maybe they tell me too much, but like I like that they're into it with the fans and they tell us all this stuff. Compared to like we'll go 9 months at a time not knowing a single thing PlayStation is doing, and those 9 months suck. You know what I mean? So it's like as a fan, you have to find the middle balance that if like PlayStation's on the opposite end where they aren't close to the fans at all right now, and Xbox is like super close, like giving the fans what they want to hear. It's hard to meet that middle ground, but it's also like they're just both taking different routes. And I feel like Xbox, like Phil Spencer's the type of guy that can take that route. He just has that face. He has that like just vibe where like you can't do that with Jim Ryan.
That $1 million smile, man.
He's relatable too.
Yeah. So
thing,
like,
though, like why is Jim Ryan the one in the front with Sony? Like it's like why isn't Herman Holst more there? Like Herman Holst when he was there, he's been great. Like Herman Holst when he speaks in interviews and stuff is great. And then every time Jim Ryan speaks, I'm like, this guy sucks. Yeah. It is so weird. Why are you choosing Jim as your public persona?
It's also just interesting to see like the differences between how Sony and Xbox are marketing because it's like Sony is still like doing astronomical numbers in PlayStation sales and like what have they outside of Final Fantasy 16, which you know technically isn't their own game, like they haven't really had any crazy releases this year, and yet they're just and the roadmap is like Spider-Man and Wolverine. And then two games we don't really know that much about, and like nothing from a lot of the studios we do know. So it's crazy that like Xbox is going so hard to market stuff to be that public face, to be likable and approachable, and Sony's like, no, don't care. Guess what? We're still gonna outsell you. It's like you got to respect it.
The difference is that I mean I don't want to. This sound completely bad, but like Sony has a massive streak of putting out quality titles. Xbox has 100%. Quality titles.
Xbox is on the back end at this point. They're on the back foot. Yes. They need to like put like Starfield. This is their litmus test. If this game comes out and then yes, there's gonna be renewed faith in Xbox. And then like if they keep that faith like going into Forza, then Stalker, I think I would have so much more from now on, but like there's always going to be that skepticism versus when a brand new Sony exclusive comes out. Like, yes, I'm a pony, okay, I get it, but like
it's an event.
That's the thing. Like Spider-Man 2, I will be there no matter what. Like that game, because Insomniac is a 10 out of 10 studio. They've proven themselves. What happened to Redfall? Like that's the thing. It's just we need less Redfalls. We need more Spider-Mans, I guess.
When a Sony first-party game comes out, it is like a media event. When the next Starfield might be that, but also like looking back, even before we knew Redfall is bad, no one was like looking forward to that for a whole lot as much as like you look forward to a first-party Sony game.
But like, yeah, not to
no, it really wasn't. I didn't know. Benj is right here.
Every Sony first-party launch, it's just an event, and Xbox doesn't have that pedigree yet. And I think
I will say. On the flip side, I think you are right, though, Benj. We're talking about the pedigree. It's like if this Fair Games or Concord doesn't hit, that is going to be the turning point. It's like, why aren't you guys talking? Why aren't you?
Look at the live service games,
right? But like you said, as long as they keep doing this, there's no why do the extra marketing? Why go the extra mile? They don't need to. Their games are great, and they're selling like a shit ton of consoles. So who they don't care.
they just break their own records. Like they
Right.
Yeah.
and it
crazy.
seems they picked the marketing strategy up now of where like they just don't want to show you a game until it's like coming soon. Like that's
Yeah.
been like
Yeah.
the big change with the PS5 because PlayStation did get some backlash during the PS4 era where you had 3 E3s in a row of the same 4 games. It was like
Right.
Spider-Man, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and Death Stranding
But
for like
they
4
always look
E3s in a
good.
row. And Days Gone. And it was like those 5 games, and it's like PlayStation's kind of they've taken the backseat and they go months without showing games. But like
That's
when they do
Nintendo's
show a game, it's gonna come out soon. Like when they announce a game, it's usually like, okay, we're gonna be playing it within the next year at least.
year. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Nintendo and Sony have taken that approach over the last couple of years, and it's only been good.
Yeah, you
We're
look
past
at,
the point of like wanting to wait that long for a game. Like it used to be that was fine, but now no.
Well,
The
I think too, it goes back to like I know people have mentioned, like, especially for like third-party studios, you announce something as like a recruiting thing, like, hey, come join the studio to
Yeah.
work on this. But I think at this point, it's like, especially for Nintendo and Sony, it's like, why do we need to tell you, like, we are Nintendo and
Yeah.
Sony, you should want to come work for us.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mitch.
I'd say Starfield's the most important Xbox game in like a decade
is.
plus.
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
is.
It's
Yeah,
the most
it is.
important Xbox game since like Halo 3.
If
Like,
this game misses, the faith in Xbox is going to be at the very bottom, and I don't think it's going to miss, obviously, but still.
I think it's going to be out of 10 out of 10. I'm beyond
Alright,
hype. My entire next weekend is Starfield.
I'm
Do
at
you
that point right
think-
now where I'm like, I'm reeling myself back just in case, but yeah, I'm out of my way.
Just a random thought I had, but do you think Xbox's whole persona of trying to be so flashy, of like being in your face, like look at the games we have, is all just kind of a long like side effect of the meme of Xbox got no games that they had to endure for so long?
Well, because
probably.
even when that meme was going on, they still try to market you that they had games. Like I've gone back and watched some of the like mid 2010, like from like 16 to like 18. Dude, they're trying to sell you on Recore. Like it's going to be the game of the year AAA sensation. It's like they always just had a way of pumping up just the most garbage games. That was like, this is or like Crackdown 3. It's like, yeah, this is the game that's gonna push gaming. Like they've always been doing this. So
they were talking about Crackdown 3 like it was gonna be the revival of Jesus Christ. Like I do not know why they hyped it up so much.
So it is like I know it's a long term plan for Xbox, and like talking about this stuff is great, but it is like Starfield has to deliver, and guess what? It can't just be Starfield. It has to be Hellblade. It has to be Avowed. It has to be Fable. Yeah,
we need all these hits in a row. That's
it's like
very important.
as unfair as it sounds, it's like you just can't miss.
That's how a game works. You need to keep hitting.
PlayStation hit that stride where it just didn't miss for like 8 years in a row, and we just haven't looked back. And it's like Xbox unfairly has to hit it.
The biggest miss PlayStation had was Days Gone, and even then, a lot of people still love that game and say that the reviewers were wrong, or stupid ass word woke. So like, it's just fascinating to me. Like Sony hit this cadence, now we need Xbox to hit this cadence, and I really hope they do.
And to Xbox's credit too, like Pentiment and like Psychonauts 2 and like some of these smaller games really in Hi-Fi Rush. I mean, they have been to their credit, they have been making good games, but it needs
We're
to
talking about
like
the big stuff.
Yeah, we need like a big one. You've gotten the small ones, you're slowly building momentum, but we need like a monumental shift that I think these AAA games will hopefully deliver on.
Fascinating topic. Very good conversations there. Moving on, though. This is a last story of the day. This is a pretty unfortunate one. Benji Sales got a really good summary of this. BioWare had a kind of like state of the like company thing. Benji Sales threw on some bullet points. BioWare Studio update: 50 people being laid off, trying to find those affected new roles in EA, rethinking their approach to development, long-term vision to preserve health of studio, and next Mass Effect still in pre-production. And then an interesting tidbit that friend of the show, Jeff Grubb, yeah, friend of the show, he said on Game Mess Mornings, Dragon Age Dreadwolf. This actually, the quote comes from Noble on Twitter as well, so shout outs to him as well, friend of the show. Dragon Age Dreadwolf was internally planned for a September 2023 release, but got pushed back to 2024. Currently, it's planned for summer 2024 at the earliest, but could be pushed back even further. Very interesting developments over at BioWare. Fusion, you're a big BioWare fan, or at least I know you're a Mass Effect fan. How did you feel reading about this?
Well, for one, it just sucks that people are losing their jobs. Hopefully, they do get like other spots in EA. And my biggest point was like Dragon Age, whatever, but the fact that Mass Effect's still in pre-production, which like
We're not
that's
getting that
just
game for a long
I should
time.
have assumed, but it's just like they announced that game 3 years ago at this rate, and it's still in pre-production. It's just like I don't know. That one hurt the most of like
You're
out
not
of the
getting
whole
it for
thing
a
because
while.
it's just and it's BioWare. It's just like where someone made a good tweet. I don't know who it was, but someone made a good tweet talking about like Baldur's Gate released at like a 97, 96, super high review scores, and like a lot of people that worked on the original Baldur's Gates and like the old school Dragon Age and all that, which is like what Baldur's Gate is like based off of, they just got released from BioWare. Which I'm not saying they could have lost some talent, you know what I mean? It's been years, but like it's just the fact that it's kind of funny seeing that game like see where it's at, and then you see like BioWare and like a lot of the talent came from like a Baldur's Gate type experience, and then it's just see like them lose all their jobs, and like it's just ironic that it lined up when it did.
Yeah, it's just like the irony when you look at it from BioWare's this much bigger AAA company. They've been struggling with their recent releases, and now they're letting people go. And then here comes Larian using the older IP of Baldur's Gate, making this massive success of a game, and they're a smaller studio and doing your job better.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird irony that for this
Like,
news to come out this time.
It just sucks. Like, go back to the PS3 360 generation. If you thought about Western RPG, you thought of two studios: Bethesda Game Studios and BioWare. And Bethesda, they are hopefully going to come back with Starfield. I think they will. But the big thing here, BioWare, nobody talks about them when it comes to Western RPGs anymore because their last two games were massive flops. It is so unfortunate because, again, BioWare made some of the greatest games of all time. Mass Effect 2, I feel like that is like a game that we need to like put them in a museum. the fact that that game exists is genuinely insane to me. And just seeing like the state of the company now, like Dragon Age Dreadwolf, I mean, this is a wild situation in and of itself, like with that game and how long that's been in development. Where we still haven't actually gotten a trailer for Dragon Age Dreadwolf. That's kind of what's funny.
They haven't got anything other than a CGI trailer.
Yeah, CGI and then like
alpha footage.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even a leak. They showed it off at like a stage, like, "Hey guys, this is what Dragon Age looks like," and it was like pre alpha. It's like, wow, this looks great. Thanks, guys.
And yet it was supposed to apparently come out this September. Okay.
Yeah. So my I'm gonna since last time I made a pretty bold claim, I'm gonna make another bold. This is Bob's bold claim of the show.
Here we go.
I think in a similar vein to Square Enix, EA is going to sell off BioWare within probably before, maybe after Mass Effect, because I'm sure.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure EA like.
We won't know the effects of this claim for like 10 years then.
Because like EA, I would imagine EA owns that IP, so that'd be a tricky situation. But the reason I say that is like, not only is BioWare like literally just in name the same studio, because I think it's the same. I know, I forget if it was Jeff or I may have been listening to a different podcast who was talking about this, but like in the same way that Arcane is not the same Arcane after Redfall, because at its core, Arcane was making stealth-based first-person action games. And when you switch to like a live service like that, those people don't want to make that game. And sure, some will stick it out and stay, and maybe like high level like directors and stuff might stay too, but like a lot of people are going to leave. They're going to want to go make the game that they signed up for and thought that they would continue to make. And I think BioWare probably had the same mass exodus with Anthem, and they haven't been able, like, I can't imagine that anyone who was on that team like at the start of Anthem, I can't imagine there's like more than like 33% of it. And that's all to say that a lot of people hold EA responsible, which rightly so. EA really just like absolutely just shot BioWare in the face with the decisions they made as a studio or as a company, like EA as a whole, and the directions they want to go. And I feel like at this point, EA kind of still, like, to their credit, they're changing, but BioWare is such a black eye for them. There, it's like, let's just sell them off.
I feel like every 3 months we see a new headline about a former BioWare employee like starting a new studio. Like,
Oh, every time.
it's like there's so many, like, all the BioWare is definitely not the same, and it's like now they're just like scattered around like a bunch of started up new studios, which like makes me more excited for those brand new studios than this current
In
BioWare.
10 years.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at this point, BioWare, like I said, it's in name, but it you might as well treat it as a new studio, and you cannot go off of any previous games where it's
so
like
unfortunate.
it's just a wild card. Yeah, it sucks because, like you said, they were such a juggernaut.
They were the
in the
kings of Western
2000s.
RPGs. You think of Western RPGs, it was BioWare and Bethesda Game Studios. They were the kings of that genre. And that's just not the same company. And that is insane to me to think just
Very
how
sad.
the mighty have fallen. But yeah, I guess kind of somber news. I just imagine in 50 years, we're all in retirement homes. We see the news story. EA sells off BioWare. And Bob's just like, I told you so.
Your grandpappy was right, and they kept calling me a liar.
But that's our final news topic. Like I said, a lot of news topics, but we still have what we've been playing. I guess we should probably talk about the brand new release. Me and Bench have been playing it. Armored Core 6. Bench, you've gotten a bit more time out of it. I'm gonna let you go first.
I'm about 3 or 4 hours in. Just beat a boss called. What was it called?
You don't have to.
It was
spoilers,
big.
spoilers. Don't call the
It
name.
was a big tank thing.
You don't have
And
to tell everyone. Just say it's a boss.
I mean, it's a
If
No,
you
boss.
I
wanna
want that to be the
spoil
name now.
everything-
Big Tank Thing is that his actual name.
I hope so.
So far, I'm really enjoying it. The mech combat is so fun and so versatile. It's hard to once you're not used to whenever you first play it because it's pretty three-dimensional. It's very three-dimensional with how you control the mech and because it pretty much flies and you have to dodge attacks. And attacks have blast radius. So like the first tutorial boss just wipes your ass
man.
because
I know
it just
that
like throws you down because you don't like the way the game controls is like not like anything I've ever played, and the way you have to handle combat situations. So I wouldn't say Elden Ring is the only Souls game I've ever played, and I wouldn't say this is as hard as Elden Ring. There's more of a challenge to it, but also it's an easier challenge, and feels more better to do because you actually see the end of the tunnel instead of just constantly getting your face smacked in, and the checkpoints are pretty forgiving right before the boss. And the customization is great. I love the mission structure and how it's mission based. It makes it very easy, just like one more mission, and you keep going. That's what I had today, and I ended up sitting down for 3 hours because just one more. I'm going to do one more thing. So overall, I'm really liking the game so far.
Yeah, I don't have nearly as much time. I only have like an hour I was able to get in before setting everything up. But I guess like just of the hour I played, like I did that tutorial boss and like customized my mech and everything. And I will say the customization of the mech is really cool. Like getting the color scheme and everything down. It's a very interesting part of the game I'm gonna mess around with a lot later on. But that first mission, man, I've played every FromSoft game or every FromSoft game, Demon Souls onward. And I'll be honest, that boss kicked my ass, and I was like, "Am I bad at games?" Like I was just like, it really was just a skill issue, and I don't actually blame.
How many tries did it take you?
Like 5 or 6.
Oh, it took me 2. I got it second try.
Oh, okay. Sorry, but I don't know. It's interesting. This kind of reminds me of Sekiro, where back when people played that game, FromSoft fans very much struggled with Sekiro, called it extremely hard. But like people who've never played a FromSoft game played Sekiro and were like, "Oh, this isn't as bad. Like this is a lot easier in comparison to the other Souls games." So I think it's just like a learning thing. Like I'm trying to play it as like a Souls game, and it's like this is not a Souls game at the slightest. It is much more different. And I think it's just kind of getting used to like the boost mechanic. That's the part that I'm messing up with a lot, is like dodging the missiles for some reason. Like I just never have enough boost to dodge. I think it's just about like resource management, getting better with that. But like
Well,
of
also
what
you
I
get
played,
better parts. You get better
yeah,
parts.
the gun I had was horrible. I was like, please.
Like, the first mission, they drop you in with just a piece of scrap. So it's
yeah.
it's already, your back is already against the wall. And I will say, timing the boosts and like dodging something, it's very satisfying.
That's the thing.
Also,
timing everything. It's a new
doing
book.
the super boost is, yeah, it's like the way you like tackle the battlefield and like the 3-dimensional space is very different and hard to grasp around at first.
Yeah, no, I mean that 3-dimensional space also, like it just in general, like it's not even 3-dimensional, like it's literally all directions because you're flying in the air, messing around. Like there's a big learning curve here, but when you figure it out, it is very satisfying. Just firing off missiles, like using your giant ass energy sword. Like, come on, you can't not have an energy sword and not have a good game. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, in general, like I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna have a lot more to say for it next week. But even then, by that time, it's like I hope I either beat the game or at least get far enough to like have more thoughts on it, because Starfield is next week, and that's definitely gonna take away my time with that.
Hey Wolf, real quick. I remember seeing this somewhere and I just found it. Gene Park, who I respect as a journalist that is a huge friend of the show. He's a big Souls guy, and someone asked him how hard Armored Core 6 is compared specifically to Sekiro and Elden Ring, and he thinks it's as hard as Sekiro and harder than Elden Ring, but he still thinks Sekiro is harder. So I guess for him, Sekiro is hard because it's more of the like parrying and like really precision timing.
Sekiro demands you to be good at the game. Like if you're bad at the game, they're like, get out, leave.
Right, and it's not like you can customize a build to like really take advantage. So for him it was Sekiro, Armored Core 6, Elden Ring as far as like difficulty wise. Again, and Bench is saying something completely different, so I don't want to like say no one's right or wrong, but just to put a different opinion out there.
I don't trust Gene. If he thinks Elden, I don't know. Maybe he didn't mention the other Souls games because it's like
he didn't. It was just between those two.
Because
that's not including any of the Dark Souls games. Just between, I guess, the two latest FromSoft releases.
Because I adore Elden Ring, but that's actually one of the easiest.
I agree.
But yeah, no, I mean, Armored Core 6, we're definitely going to talk about it more on the next week's podcast, along with Starfield. But I also been playing, I beat Yakuza Like a Dragon. This is, without question, one of my favorite JRPGs now. I absolutely loved every minute of this game. I think I do have some issues story-wise. There's some really, like, kind of goofy things that happen near the end that very much feel soap opera-like, and some twists that are like, well, this isn't really that impactful of a twist, but they're acting like it's a crazy ass moment, when in reality it's like, I don't care about this character. But I mean, story wise and also just gameplay wise, the JRPG combat, it's fun, but it's very, very basic. It does not have like the one more system of Persona. It doesn't have the BP system of Octopath, like anything like that. But where it makes up is just that world is so good. Those characters are phenomenal. Ichiban Kasuga, one of my favorite protagonists in gaming. He is a goofy dude that he sees the best in people. I admire him a lot for what he is as a person, as a fictional game character, but like just as a person, like he is so admirable in that regard. And again, like the soundtrack, I keep listening to the soundtrack all day today. It is a phenomenal soundtrack, very electronic, a lot of dubstep, but like it is such a fucking fun soundtrack, and that's just the game in general for me. It's fun. It has so much energy and life to it, and it always feels like the game like wants you to have fun with it. That story has so many incredible moments in it. I highly recommend anyone this game out. If you've played a previous Yakuza game, you're like, I'm not feeling it, I would actually try this game, because man, I'll tell you, that combat in Yakuza 0 was literally the only thing I disliked about that game, and it was enough for me to drop that game. This game, at least the combat is serviceable. Like, it is fun enough. And so I do definitely want to shop Like a Dragon. Like, check it out. It is a worthwhile experience.
Wolf, question for you.
What's up?
I've heard that the end of that game is an insane grind fest.
Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, I'll just say it like this. It's not really the end, it's chapter 12 specifically. Around that point of the game, you're going to have like level 35, like 32s and stuff. The boss of that chapter is level 50. I fought him. I fought him with like level 40s, like early 40s. And it was hard. It was a pretty difficult fight, but like I had enough resources at that point where I was able to like kind of stall him. But like it is definitely like this game is not very well balanced. You can tell this was their first JRPG like developed game, like their first time making a JRPG. They need to work. I really hope Infinite Wealth really like they got everything else right. It's just like let's fix that combat just a bit, tweak it just a bit, add an interesting mechanic like BP, like one more. Something like that to really make this game something like this franchise even better. But moving on, Fusion, you had some interesting things I wanted to hear about you.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like halfway through last week, I beat Rayman Legends. I remember us talking about me starting it in the last podcast, and I liked it. Like it's not. I think I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I would say I'd say it's good.
Dale.
Like
oh my god.
okay, I don't know.
Podcast. No, go ahead, continue.
I don't know. Maybe it's hard to compare these two. So like, and they shouldn't be compared. But for some reason, like Sackboy's Big Adventure.
Okay, all right. See
Hold on, hear me out. I felt like the best moments in Rayman Legends were the music levels. But the music levels of Rayman Legends do not touch Sackboy's music levels.
Okay, nope, we're out. All right,
no, that's the truth. It's the truth.
No, you're telling me, dude, Castle Rock, that masterpiece.
Castle Rock's the best one, and it's the first one.
No, it is not. No, dude.
Yep, Castle Rock's my favorite.
Did you do the 8-bit versions? Because that's when it gets difficult and pretty intense.
I think I did. I should have.
Then, you should have.
That doesn't sound confident to me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've played so many levels, I can tell you at this rate. No, the game's good. Like I like in my own personal rating, I give it a 7, which is good for me. Like that's a good video. What else do you want from it? It's a good video game.
On Twitter, that means the game is dog shit.
Yeah, sorry, bud. You can't say that.
Bench is already like it scored lower than Final Fantasy 16. Bench is happy. It was just like I had a little. I think the water levels were like, in my opinion, the coolest.
Oh yeah, easily.
I really like the water levels. I thought the way my character's momentum and like some of the mobility just didn't feel good enough. Which I understand it's a 10-year-old game,
fair.
and like against more modern like platformers, it's going to feel a little older. So like that's kind of against it, but everything else like I also thought the checkpointing was like very random. Like sometimes I felt like the checkpoint was really nice for me, and then the very next moment it would be the worst checkpoint of all time, and it was really frustrating. But that's enough of Rayman. Like it was good. Like I recommend it. Everyone out in the world has probably played it, but me. Like I was the last one to ever play it.
Yeah, that's why we don't have a sequel because you didn't play it.
Well, now I play it, so we'll
You're
I think Sackboy's better.
No,
yeah, dude. When he said that, dude, I need a cigarette.
I really like Sackboy. Like I feel like
Sackboy's a good game.
Yeah, it is.
Rayman Legends. I mean, I'm biased. It's like a top 20 game.
But I also
like, yeah.
I don't want to compare them because one's like fully 3D, like
yeah, of course.
and then there's like a 2D, like and they're a lot older. One's 8 years older than the other. Like that's just.
I feel like with platformers that doesn't matter as much though.
No,
yeah,
like,
it doesn't. But like I'm telling you, Rayman, like maybe it's just me, but like the movement did not feel as good as a modern day platformer feels.
I think. See, my viewpoint on that is that I feel like the level design is so tailored to that movement. So I guess personally for me, it really the thing is when it comes to controls, it really just depends on the person. So like it very personally for you, like you weren't a big fan of the controls. I thought they were fine, but like yeah, no, it's a totally fair viewpoint to have.
And it's like I agree the levels were tailored to it. I just wish I had more advanced stuff. Like I wish I had a midair lunge or like a double jump. You know what I mean? Things where it's just like it would make me just feel more smooth in the levels, and I just never got that. Like there would be multiple times where it's like I feel like I would miss a rope jump, even though I was holding like A and whatever, like all the direction. There was nothing I could have done faster to get to that rope, and I would just miss it. Like it would be inconsistent misses like that. That would annoy me.
But
And
you also started Inscryption. I really
yeah,
want to hear you talk
I
about
did start Inscription, and I really like it so far, but I'm just bad. Like,
that.
That comes with the
And it comes
territory.
back to
Like,
Rayman Legends. It's all a
yeah,
skill
apparently.
issue.
Like, this game is like, I didn't know much about it. Like, I didn't even know it was a straight, like, I knew cards were involved, but I didn't know they were involved this much. Like, it's a whole deck builder. Like, it's a roguelike deck builder. So it's like, I'm getting so frustrated with the cards that I'm pulling, which is, I think I'm 7 to 8 hours in, and like, I don't know how many acts are in the game. I think I'm still in Act 1. And I'm like, how long to beat? So this game's
Oh.
12 hours. So I don't know what's happening here, but
I was gonna say, do you know how far you have made it within like the little map that you have?
I've made it to the very end of the map once.
Okay, so you've
And I
played like
insta KO'd.
okay, yeah. I will say as a because I played it. I think was it this year or last year? Whenever I played it. Honestly, my strategy after like 5 hour was I knew the cheese and I just started like if I didn't get the cheese immediately, I was like, no,
Restart.
I'm just restarting this run, and I would just build off of that. And honestly, it once you get a good broken build, it's like there's no shame. You've put in enough time. Just wait for a broken build and then just steamroll.
Yeah, maybe that's what I should do. Because there's plenty of times where like I'll like the game works where like you have this map. I'm not gonna get into any other like spoilers because the game's like just like you just have to play it. But like you have this map you go through, and there's normal combat encounters before each map area has a boss. Like you have to get through the boss to move to the next part in the map. And it's like there's times where I not die, but like I lose one of my lives. You get 2 lives. I'll lose one of my lives to like a normal combat encounter, like brutally bad. Like I feel like sometimes the game is completely unfair where there was not a single card in my deck where I could have won.
Yeah.
And that's a little frustrating for me right now because like I like feelings of roguelike where I feel like even if I fail, I feel like I'm progressing. And right now in Inscryption, I feel like when I fail, I'm not getting much of a progression system. That's my only
Yeah.
knock right now with the game.
It's definitely not as linear. It is very exponential in that regard. And I will agree with that criticism. It is whack how it kind of works compared to a traditional roguelike. But yeah, I would say just keep restarting it until you get like a good cheese deck. And like let me tell you, once you start rolling, it's actually very hard to stop. So that is like my one point. At least for me, it was. So that is, I would just say you put in enough time, just go for the cheese, honestly.
Okay. I'll have to find my cheese and use it because yeah, right now I'm just like I don't really have. There's some few cards where I see and I always grab them, but like other than that, I really don't have like a build in mind where I'm like, okay, this is just gonna body all the bosses.
I just remember getting some idol that did something to the squirrels, and I forget like how specifically it worked. I was like, this is so busted, and then
Was it the worker ants?
No, I honestly I couldn't remember off the top of my head now. It's been too long, but yeah, there are definitely some good synergies between like the idols that you can get and the cards, like some of the base cards that'll stack on top of each other.
I definitely do recommend like this game is very weird and like it's one of those games where you always hear where like people can't ever tell you what the game's really about because it's just like you just have to play the game.
Yep.
That's my point. I think everyone here should play the game at some point. It's going to be frustrating. I have been frustrated multiple times, but like I can already see the payoff in my mind being worth the pain I'm going through. So
Fusion, you have no idea, and that's the best part. Like I can't wait for you to see more of this game.
Is it as good as Slay the Spire? Because that's my beloved card game.
I didn't like Slay the Spire that much.
It's going
Slay
for a
the-
different thing.
I mean, Slay the Spire was only fun when you played the assassin. All the other classes sucked.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a different type of game.
It's a different.
Yeah,
It's an experience. Like that's all I
Yeah.
can boy. Like it's an
I
experience.
want to check it out. Yeah, and that's why I was so interested in hearing your thoughts because I love roguelikes and I've been kind of itching for a new card game. Honestly, it's very rare.
I think
that
you
a
would
card
like
game
it. I
hooks
think
me.
you would like it.
That's the thing. It's so rare for a card game to hook me. Like Slay the Spire was like the last one. That's just because I had Assassin. If I was forced to play like the Barbarian class, oh god, I would have dropped that game instantly. But like I played Assassin, I'm like, oh, this game rocks. and I just want something like that. And I don't know, this game has been on my radar for so long, and I keep seeing it on sale, and I keep going like, maybe this is when I buy it. Like, who knows?
Do you have PlayStation Plus, like the subscription service?
No, God no.
Oh, well, it's an extra if you like.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
So
your
like,
problem.
you can upgrade. Like I upgraded
I mean,
this
yeah.
month for Sea of Stars, and it only cost me $9 to upgrade to
Yeah.
extra. So it's like I just started an Inscryption because I'm like, well, it's here. You know what I mean?
You gotta remember, Fusion, I forget stuff easily, so I'm gonna be like, like November, like, oh shit, I still have that. But no, that's fair. No, I'm definitely want to play it sooner and later. Bench, I actually skipped over this game when you were talking about your game, so sorry about that. You beat Trails of Cold Steel 4.
I did, and it was great. I have one more Trails game to catch up after this, which I'll play in a couple months, but this concluded the 4-game Cold Steel saga, and it stuck the landing so hard. It was just incredible. Great ending, great conclusion, and overall the combat really got improved with this game. And the story, which it was the Avengers Endgame of the thing, but with better story. So I really enjoyed it.
Better story. Yeah, that's not saying much. I love that game. Yeah, it's a Marvel story. Yeah, that all you wanted to say?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Shout out to Trails. Great series. Moon, you have a lot here. I want you to have the floor.
Yeah, I kind of spent the week blowing through a bunch of smaller games. Like literally Sunday, I did nothing else but play. So the 2 games I beat right away were Stray Gods, which I started last week, and that was a good time. I enjoyed my time with that. And then I flipped through the trophies of that game to see, because I was thinking maybe I should platinum this. Yeah, it's gonna take like 3 to 4 playthroughs of the game to platinum it, because you gotta. All the trophies are based around like who you romance, who you defend, who you go after, and all that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do a playthrough every once in a while. But it was a good time. I enjoyed it because I like musicals, and the story was fun because I like Greek mythology and all that, and the plot of them being like relevant people in today's world is always fun to me. So is it worth the $30? Maybe not. Maybe wait for a sale. Or if you're someone like Bench or I who just like to just spend money.
And me.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, wait a minute, Wolf too. We have a money problem here.
Yep.
Then I finished off Humanity, which I started back when it released, I think like in June or something. I've been playing that game on and off. Interesting puzzle game. But it got really weird in the last couple levels. It went from it spent the first like 3 acts. It's a 6-act game. The first 3 are all pretty similar. They just give you like different powers to control the flow of people as the game is. If you know how the game is, it's you controlling just flows of people to solve puzzles. So the first 3 are pretty similar to that. And then the last 3, they get really weird with it. Like they give the people guns so you can shoot stuff. And then you can lead them. So it almost becomes like Pikmin in a way. You're just this dog controlling this massive horde of people. And like this Pikmin-like thing, and you actually have boss fights. This puzzle game has boss fights, and it got real wacky at the end there. And I actually enjoyed it more when it got wacky. So definitely check that out if you have PS Extra. It's a neat puzzle game. And then Venba I blew through because that game only takes like an hour to play through. And what I want to talk about Venba is it's very cute. It's a nice story and all that. I really like the art style. But this game definitely suffers from a lack of voice acting, which is normally not a complaint for me because I played a lot of silent games, and that's usually not a problem. But I think this game in particular would have hit a lot more with voice acting, because as a story of immigrants and parents being raising up a child in another country, I think it's very interesting because there's that whole scene that you get of the parents wanting the child to speak their native tongue instead of English. And it's like there's this one scene in like the first chapter with the kid where the kid says, "I want to have pizza." And then the parents are like, "No, speak this in Tamil or Tamil, whatever the language is." I can and then the subtitle or like the speech bubble just says, "I want pizza." Like he just says it again. It's just because it's in English and both times for us, the reader. This would have been really cooler if the kid said it, I want pizza in English, and then the parents say, no, speak in Tamil. And then the kid actually says it in the Tamil language with a voice actor. I think that would have helped the story a lot more. Because it's a story all about just being not in your native land, and a way of being immigrants and all that. So I think in that regard, like I said, this thing definitely suffers from a lack of voice acting. Because just reading English texts over and over again, even though they're supposedly speaking another language, just doesn't hit as hard. And the story is still good. Like I know a lot of people got like emotional with this, especially if they are the children of immigrants. So there's a lot to relate to there. But it's a cute story, and it's a very easy 1,000 gamer score platinum trophy if you want to do that. So I recommend that. Was it? Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's it's on Game Pass. I thought it was on PSX, but it's not. It's only on Game Pass.
Wow.
And yeah, so check it out if you like cute little stories that only takes about an hour of your time. And then I continued also the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed DLC. Finally got back into the swing of that. Enjoying that. I think I'm in the last act of that. I would have started Armored Core tonight, but the United States Postal System decided I should not have Armored Core tonight. So I'll have it tomorrow. So I think that's just a sign telling me, no, Moon, you need to go finish Xenoblade tonight, not start Armored Core. And that's just how I'm going to do it. As this episode renders, I'm going to be playing Xenoblade. And also the new Fortnite season.
Only 3 days away, dude.
Stop reminding me.
Like, is Armored Core really worth it?
Gaming is back, man.
Gaming is back. But yeah, that's been my week. It's been a good gaming week.
Oh yeah. And then we're gonna end with our guest here, Bob. What have you been playing?
Well, I figured I'd kind of loop in the last couple of weeks just to kind of paint a bigger picture.
I'm kidding.
Yes. So basically, well, and also I don't know if any of you guys have talked about playing any of these games. So
We haven't. And
I don't think
very
I've played
interested
games
in
here, I'll
all
be
of them.
honest. There's been a lot of
Okay.
trails as of late.
Yeah. So basically, these games all have the same theme. It's Operation Finish This Before Starfield comes out. Don't start anything else new. So I'll start with what I'm currently playing, Dave the Diver. Got to this a little bit later than everybody else, but I've been playing this mostly on my handheld. And honestly, it's a really easy like drop in, drop out. Like one like in-game day probably takes you, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes. Because you have basically 2 instances of diving where you're going underwater, you're catching fish, you're fending yourself off against like predators of the ocean. You're doing like missions and just separate like whether it's harvesting certain things or gathering certain fish or solving mysteries in the deep. And trust me, you get real deep in this game. It's really just, and it's also like relaxing. It goes back to the me talking about like Mud Runner and Snow Runner. It's where it's like, dude, you're just catching fish, but like the music is such a good like, yeah, you're gonna zone out and play this game for like 2 hours and not even realize it. So I do appreciate from that perspective. And then at night, you run like a sushi shop, or you help run a sushi shop, and it's kind of like a diner dash game where you're managing like food orders and cleaning tables and pouring beer and managing like the menu and your wait staff and stuff. So it's like half management sim, half like action adventure game. And it does have a story. Like there is legitimately something they're trying to tell, and there's all these cool like little systems where I think it's a really well-made game. I know some people were trying to like squeeze it in for Game of the Year as like the indie nom. I don't think it's that good, but I think it is a good game that you could just like kind of pick up and zone out on and kind of keep on your, on your short list of like, oh, you know what? I haven't played Dave the Diver this week. Let me go in and play a couple days. So,
exclusive, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I just speaking of that, I just looked at like the reviews because like I've been hearing people like rave about this game, and it's at an 89 on OpenCritic. So
not enough.
Yeah,
from what I heard, that means the game is bad.
I think 89 probably would be too high for me. I'd probably give it like an 8. But if you are into if you're into either of the, like if you're into a game with a lot of like interesting systems that'll like keep you like wanting to do the next thing, I think it is a really good game, and it's really well made. There's no bugs. There's really no shortcomings as far as I can tell. So
Do you know who made it?
I don't. I mean, I would imagine it's some indie studio I've never heard of.
Looking it up right now. Yes, it's
Okay.
only on PC right now. The developer and publisher same is called Mint Rocket.
Yeah, never heard.
So yeah,
of it.
some
I've
legendary
never heard
dev.
of him.
some indie company probably.
Yeah. So, but good game. I'm having fun with it. I probably won't beat it before Starfield, but you know, something I can just pick up from time to time. That's a nice little palate cleanser. So, been playing that, and then before that, I beat. Well, I'll start with Riders Republic first, since that's an older game. I picked this up on the last Steam sale. It was $15. I am a big sports guy and like extreme sports guy, and when this game first came out, I was like, "Dude, I wouldn't spend $60 on this." But let me tell you, for $15, this is a fun game.
Oh,
It is like it's like mostly bicycle, not BMX, but like bike racing on like off-terrain, off-road bike racing. And then you have like snowboard skiing, whether it's more like groomed speed slalom or like deep snow kind of backwoods skiing or snowboarding. And then you have a wingsuit, which is like the flying squirrel suit where you're kind of falling with style. And then you have a rocket suit where they literally just give you like rockets on a wing and you're like flying through the air. And then there's like other gimmicks like this bike with really fat tires that can like drive over water, and like a hoverboard and rockets with skis on them. And like for some of that stuff, you do have to pay for it because it is Ubisoft. But honestly, it's a really well-made game, and the best part is its multiplayer. If you guys remember the advertisements for this game, it was like 64 person like mass races. At least I think it was 64. I forget if it was 64 because now it's 32. So they did I kind of like how Fall Guys used to be 60 and now it's 40. They cut it down to 32. But okay, but even then with 32, there's something about seeing 32 people on the screen. And let me tell you, it's not like there's a rollback. Like people are flying around, the latency's all over the place. It's kind of a mess, but like it's a fun mess. And it is a lot of fun and brings out like the competitive side of me a lot. And there's not really like you can't pay to win for good stuff, which is nice. So you really are going off your own merits. And yeah, I mean, overall, I really liked it. And again, I would never recommend this game for more than $20. But under $20, if you're looking for like a good extreme sports game, this is I think a really good one, and the multiplayer, like I said, is excellent.
Man, it's just like I played the beta for that game, and it's one of those things. I think I'm cursed. I have tried so hard, but I cannot find a sports game I like. I have played every single sport imaginable: soccer, football, basketball. But it's a cursed genre for me. No matter what, even if it's Mario sports, I just cannot enjoy those games. It's so weird to me.
Interesting.
Wow. No, that's just a me thing, though. I can very much say like the game was fun though, like for what it was. But I was like, I had my time with it. But
you gotta try SnowRunner then, because if you like SnowRunner, I'm gonna count that as a sports game for you.
That doesn't. I mean, there's a couple. I like Crash Team Racing, I guess.
It's
like
NASCAR is a real sport. Good try, buddy.
I do like NASCAR, but yeah. So then that leaves me with the final game, Remnant 2. A game I
hear about.
So
I
I
really
have
like
no experience with Remnant from the Ashes, the first one. I have friends who I have friends who like that game, and we're waiting for this one. And then honestly, the biggest sell for me on this game was when Travis Northrop from IGN, who is infamously the harshest reviewer of games you've ever seen, gave this game a 9. I'm like, okay, wait, hold on.
Oh shit.
What are they cooking over here? So you know, I think the easiest way to describe this game is Dark Souls with guns. Where like a lot of the level design is kind of that you're going from checkpoint to checkpoint, like bonfire to bonfire, kind of discovering the world. There's all these little like you get a map that's slowly being revealed to you. There's all these ads and then little like area bosses, and then you have mini bosses, and then you have like actual world bosses. It's all pretty diverse. I thought the enemy variety was great. I thought the gunplay was really good and really creative. And then I think the interesting thing is the random generation of it all. What was that? Wolf?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, hang on. Okay,
Am I? Was it me?
Yeah, your voice was just messing up a bit. Was it me?
It wasn't for me.
Oh, maybe it was just for
Yeah,
me.
I think it
My
was
apologies.
you.
Yeah, he was fine for
Cheers.
us. We're
I
the
derailed
room is
the
live.
podcast. I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm really sorry about that. That must have been on my end.
No, we'll blame it on Craig. Anyways, so it the interesting thing about it is like this procedural generation. It's not really procedural as much as it is like there are a lot of different combinations you can get of different worlds. So which makes writing these guides really hard because someone will be like, "Oh yeah, take a left here and go by this building and it'll be on your right." But their game is not the same as my game, so you have to have really specific conditions in order for the same exact thing to be happening, which is interesting. But it's also interesting because once you beat an area, like you beat the main boss for that area and you go to the next part, you can go back in a separate mode and re-roll that same world. And like it took me 20 re-rolls to get all of the different like guns, items, archetypes, abilities and stuff. Which I really did like. It got annoying and a little tedious sometimes when you just kept rolling and you knew you didn't get the right area. But that's all to say that I beat it in probably about 25 hours. I did it all solo. I've heard it's really fun with friends. It gets hard, but it's fun with friends. But I think this is an excellent game made by a very small team, and I was pretty impressed. I'm not like the biggest Souls-like guy, but I think having that style of game, but with gunplay and still making it interesting and balanced, is kind of a hard thing to do. And I thought they did a really good job. The story's nothing to write home about. You can pretty much skip it, but this is definitely a fun game. Yeah, no, this is definitely just a fun game to play with friends and not really pay attention to much.
Okay.
But would you recommend, like, if I was gonna get this game 3 months from now, but like as a solo experience, you would still recommend it?
Oh, 100%. I didn't play with a single other person, and I had a great time. I think it's a great game. It just scales, like and what's interesting is when you play it multiplayer, I could have the gunslinger class, but my buddy's got the healer class, and then our third buddy has like the tank class. So it's like we're all kind of playing. It's kind of like Outriders or some of these other games where you all have different classes, so you all experiment and have different abilities. But you can get all of those abilities and switch them out in your game too. So it's not really that much of a hindrance, and they give you a bit more of a boost as a solo player because they know that you're by yourself. So. But yeah, I would absolutely for $50, absolutely. I think this is a pretty good game. I still gave it an 8 just because I think it just doesn't quite hit the bar that I think it could, and that's probably just because it's still a small team and they've really only made one other game. But I really like what these guys are making, and I will definitely be there for the next game or for DLC to this one.
Why did you have to tell me it's good, man? No, I have enough to play this year.
I already added it to I'm probably going to play this, and then you just sold me more on.
Yeah, that's like you just added it to my Black Friday lookout list.
Yeah, I would say play Armored Core because I think that's going to be a much more interesting version. But I don't sleep on Remnant too. I think this is a really fun game.
That's exciting to hear about.
And honestly, I'm glad it came out when it did because I think it'd be overshadowed by everything else this fall.
Sure.
Everything else in October.
And the fact that it was the highest selling game of July was awesome. I loved hearing that it topped cool. Not MPD, was it Circana? All right, I'm just gonna assume that I was right because I have no idea what Wolf just said. So
yeah,
we're just gonna say I was right.
Majorly roboted out.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
hard. Like we couldn't understand a single thing. You beeped and booped.
I just want to say it's NPD. It's not
Okay.
whatever the fuck.
Okay. So we're
I hate
giving it the Twitter treatment. Got it.
Yeah, because it's like, why would you change? It's been like over 20 years. They're like, oh, now let's change the name. Like, why? It really is just the Twitter treatment, huh?
Yeah. So that's all I've been playing, and can't wait for Starfield.
Hell yeah!
Starfield.
I think we're all very excited for Starfield, and I think everyone is ready for the end of this episode because we have been recording for a while.
Yeah.
So, Moon, if you could handle outros for us.
So yeah, I'm gonna do this real quick then, since we're all dead tired, and I'm sure everyone listening is too. So thank you all for joining. Thank you for dedicating a slice of your time to a Slice of Gaming podcast. So we're gonna wrap up here. Join us next episode on YouTube, Spotify, and all the other streaming services that you can find us on. So thank you to BenjiBop for joining us on this episode. Hope to have you again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys.
But yeah, I hope everyone's ready for the abundance of Starfield that will be in the next episode. I know I'm not, but it's like half this cast is probably going to be gone because next week is the 1st, so you're all just going to be busy playing Starfield.
We can multitask.
Hey, you and Fusion can host the podcast next week.
Yeah, just the Fusion and Moon show. We're going to talk about Far Cry 6, or no, Far Cry 5 actually. That's a better game. So look forward to that next week. So hope you all have a good one. Say goodnight, everyone.
Good night.
Starfield.
Oi.